Good evening, everyone, and welcome to qualifying night for the Automobilista Supercars Bathurst 1000. We have finally made it to the night. It's been a long wait for this year's Bathurst 1000. It's been a long wait since we did a stream live, so we're all trying to get up to speed, remembering it all. My name's Stairs. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Madbird to the commentary box, and I'm going to have to share the microphone. Not exactly COVID safe, is it?
No, not COVID safe at all. Hello, our viewers. Welcome to the Bathurst 1000 for 2021. An absolute blast last year, and we're looking forward to it all year long. So we are here. We are in the new digs, and we're all sort of scrambling to get ready, but we're here, and we're excited for some excellent racing tonight, Stairs.
Absolutely. So let's have a look at the schedule for this excellent event that we're going to be enjoying over the next 2 days. We have tonight qualifying from 8:25 p.m. those times, Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, followed by the top 10 shootout. We have a bumper field of cars tonight, so 7 cars will be eliminated from qualifying heading into that top 10 shootout. Then tomorrow the live stream starts from 10:45 Eastern, and we will get underway with the race start about 55 minutes after that. So looking very much forward to that one, Madbird.
Yeah, definitely. Tonight is just the prelude to the main game. And here is the, well, not the main car, but the first car that we have. The number 2 Colton Commodore of Has Been Racing Team, Brendan Ross and Lewis Wedding. We've seen some mixed fortunes for the both of them in ASC in the past. So let's hope that they can turn it around a bit tonight. We also have Aidan Sykes and Cameron Parrott, who have been sort of Super 2 runners mostly in the Syncom Motorsports number 15 Holden Commodore. But they're jumping into the main game for the Bathurst 1000, and why wouldn't you? Brady Myers and Joe Mugford in the TTL Esports 22 Holden Commodore. Also mainly Super 2 runners jumping up into the main game, Stairs.
Yes, absolutely. Good to see them back. Long time since we've seen the TTL livery in this particular category. Sean Allen and Alex Cattle teaming up for Race on Oz. Race on Oz going for different liveries. We normally see them run the gold liveries, but this time they're doing it a little bit differently with this beautiful Sega Saturn livery. Moving on from that one, a bit of an Alexander Rossi inspired livery here. The Napa Auto Parts, if I can get my worms out. That's Lachlan Burke and Hans Brunswick driving that beautiful Mustang. Moving on from that, we've got Kurt Stenberg, the champion-elect, the Toyota livery, and there's a very nice little tribute to the late Mike Raymond on the bonnet there, so keep an eye out for that one. Moving on there, we've got Steve Warwick and Cusber Anguilla, also known as RSM Latino, running the number 50 Blackshaws RSM car. And then after that, we have the Dane Liccardo Turmo car for Tasman Motorsport, number 51 Ford Mustang there, Madbird.
Actually, it looks like a Holden Commodore, so apologies for that. It's definitely a weird-looking Mustang. Then, of course, after that, we do have the second Race on Oz car. Once again, breaking with tradition, this time very Oz with the green and gold. Benjamin Dahlia and Brody Steen. We've seen Benjamin Dahlia has just come leaps and bounds in his pace this year, so I'll be very interested to see how he does in the big dance. We have got Brendan Dostal and Zane Zivalj. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Team 76 Racing, the 76 Ford Mustang. Not two drivers I'm not familiar with. I have heard of Brandon Dostal. I think he was in the Super 2s mostly. And the next up, we also have the Vivid Esports, number 86 Commodore of Mick Pollard and Lachlan Horan. Again, sort of on the periphery of the main season, but predominantly in Super 2 this year. So nice to see some of these runners jumping up. And here I think we have maybe the favourite pairing for this event. We have got Colin Warwick and Ethan Warren in the Kart FX Warwick Creative Racing 93 Holden Commodore. That is a long team name. Ethan Warren, we haven't seen much of this season after being absolutely dominant with his brother Dane in the previous season. And Colin Warwick, we have seen, has had a lot of pace this season. So looking forward to seeing them team upstairs.
Yeah, they were rapid last year, and some qualifying laps towards the end for Ethan Warren to get the win there over Kurt Stenberg and his brother Dane Warren. Not Kurt's brother Dane, Ethan's brother Dane. So Liam Budd and Kai Jones for Vivid Esports. Another Red Bull Holden Racing team inspired livery there. So they'll be driving number 167. Looking forward to seeing how that one goes. After that, now this one is, I reckon this is going to be a polarising one. Madbird, I think you love this. I don't think it works too well. Mad Max-inspired livery there by Luke Rosella and Thomas McMillan. I can see my cameraman, James, squinting at that one. Not a fan. What do you think?
I love it, but I'm a bit of a renegade, and I especially like the spatter of blood across the front corner of the bonnet. I think that adds a really nice touch. Rounding out our last couple of cars that we have got Luke Jager and Damien Kelly in the Privateer 422 Ford Mustang. Very bright livery there. We have got Zach Baker and David Nedadich, who have been very, very strong here in the past. So very much look forward to seeing what they can do in the ZB Racing 512 Ford Mustang. And last of all, we have got Benjamin Rhodes running solo in the Ultimate 9 Racing 999 Ford Mustang. So we can all get out there and hope for a Rhodium tomorrow. And that is it for all of our runners here in qualifying tonight. So I'm gonna quickly take you for a little bit of a tour of our setup. So we've got the Tech Talk bunker here, obviously, where we've just been having our little overview. So we've got a few screens here. Michael Zalavari is going to give you a bit more of a look at this a bit later. But if you follow me, we'll head on down into the nerve centre, the com box as it was. Don't mind the fans. It's a little bit hot here in Adelaide today, so we're taking it as we can. So here is Michael Zalavari. Say hi to the viewers. There he is. These are all of our screens. So you can see... Oh, thank you very much. So you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screens. We have got 3 computers. 4 if you include that little Apple bin thing. We have got 3 keyboards. We have got 4 mice. 3 mice, 4 mice. We've got many mice. We've got so many peripherals. You can shake a stick at it, and you'd probably hit many of them because that's how many of them that there are. We've got live races on here. We've got the championship standings on there. We've got a spotter's guide on the wall, which you can get on the Facebook page, Apex Rear Wing on Facebook. Get a copy for yourself so you can have a look and vote in the poll for what your favourite livery is. And I reckon it's Luke Rosella and Thomas McMillan. It's got to be. We have got some information here about our stream. We have got OBS on this screen showing what is going live, which is currently my hand, and a very nice mirrored effect going off into the distance. Yeah, that didn't want to focus. And that is about it for our Combox this year. It's actually a bit more organised than it was last year. I'm very proud of Stairs because this is the lion's share of what takes up the time, and he basically does all of the organising. So I don't think he gets anywhere near enough praise, and I reckon you should get a nice shot of him looking awkward on the couch. Yeah, very good. Very good. Hang on that just for a second. Excellent. Anyway, earlier on in the week, Stairs, who is sitting awkwardly on the couch, had a bit of a chat with our champion, Kurt Stenberg, about his admin roles and about his season, how he's come this year. So we're going to have a look at that.
Kurt, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
It's been a big year for you. 12 wins, 12 poles, 13 fastest laps. I'm just going to reel off some stats here. 12 race podium streak. I believe that's the longest podium streak that any driver has had in this series.
Yeah, see, I didn't even know that stat, so that's really cool. Yeah, it's been a pretty whirlwind year, considering I'm pretty sure I had 3 wins over the last 2 seasons, so to get 12 this year, and then all the poles and all that, and it was pretty much the start of the year where we completely dominated the first handful of rounds, and then the back end of the year we were sort of challenged by a few other people, but by that stage we had the championship pretty much under control.
I was going to ask you for a highlight and a low light of the year, but I can't imagine there were too many lowlights.
I know my drop round ended up being a round where I won a race at the Druitt circuit. It was only because of the last race where I got a penalty crossing the line. So that's probably the low light. Either that or Townsville, where the qualifying poorly and I think coming 6th after blowing the tyre on the last lap. So they're really the only low points. And there's the high points. There's been some good racing with myself and Colin, especially the bend strikes back to me. So he's always fast. He's always up the front, but he scared me with his pace that day, and I was sitting back thinking that, his tyres were going to go off at some point, and they didn't, so I had to have a big go for the win, and he ended up getting me just, so that was an awesome last lap.
He, of course, is defending Bathurst champion along with Ethan Warren, so those guys must be a bit of a worry for you and Corey coming into Bathurst.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we haven't seen much of Ethan this year on track, but I know I've seen him in V8 Scops. I've seen him in E-Series. I was his spotter in E-Series for most of the rounds. So I know exactly how fast he is, and he's only got better, and I'm sure that'll translate to AMS. And yeah, Colin's been a lot tougher competitor this year than last, so they're going to be very hard to beat on Saturday.
It's interesting because Ethan and Colin, they've been teamed up for the last 2 years, so that'll be their third Bathurst 1000 for ASC in a row, whereas you won in 2019 with Jake Maloney, narrowly missed out on a win last year with Dane Warren, so a new teammate again.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a different one for me. I'm racing with the Super 2 winner. I've spoken to him a little bit, but I don't know him particularly too well. I know he's a quick driver, and he's obviously won races so far in main game and a million in Super 2. We still don't really know how much we drive alike or things like that, where I know Dane pretty well, and I mean, he was clearly the A driver in our car last year, and yeah, Maloney's, I've known him for years, so yeah, it's a bit of a different dynamic, but hopefully we both can deliver.
Well, he's definitely shown that, as you said, 2 main game wins in just 8 starts so far for Corey McFarlane.
Yeah, and I mean, he'll be taking the co-driver role, so hopefully that's not too much stress for him. I am going to try and take the qualifying duties and all that. He'll probably be up against the likes of Colin and McMillan, I imagine.
I want to change focus now a little bit to your adminning sort of role, running the league in 2021. It's been a tricky year we've had quite a long hiatus due to the COVID pandemic this year. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's been difficult to manage. I mean, obviously the whole mantra of this series when we started it was we wanted to replicate the real supercar series, and it's very difficult with these COVID challenges.
As we went into that hiatus, you were starting to pick up a bit of momentum with regard to numbers, and we were worried that hiatus would sort of stop that, but it doesn't seem to have been the case. We've had huge numbers despite going to Sydney in the main game 3 times in a row. We saw very good numbers and a lot of fantastic racing there.
Yeah, exactly, and it was really good racing. I mean, I'm a big fan of that track, so I wasn't ashamed that we were racing there multiple times, but I did think the participation would drop off towards the back end, the last race especially, and we tried to spice it up with running the short track and different formats, and yeah, it was really good. Everybody seemed to really enjoy it. The racing was really clean, it was really fun. Even though we had 3 months off, it didn't really feel like it when we got back to racing, so that's a good thing.
So you and Colin, you split duties. Let's just give the audience a little bit of a sense of sort of what his responsibilities are and what yours are.
He handles the skin packs and skinning. He does all the windows for everybody. So he handles putting all that kind of stuff together. He does handle a lot of the Facebook messages and Discord stuff when I'm unavailable at work. I'm the one who works on a lot of the track stuff, although Colin's done some of the signage for Bathurst and that stuff. He does more of the graphical stuff. And then on race nights, we sort of both split duties, but I've got the control of operating and setting up the servers and stuff. So we split it down the lines. It makes it easier if one person does one thing and then you don't stand on somebody else's toes. It makes it much easier when there's both of us and we both can focus on our own sort of little parts of it that we do.
Going into next year, you'll be the defending champion. I know we talked about you being defending champion when you won the championship in 2019, whether you'd run the number 1. It turned out to be quite a curse for you, as you predicted. Are you going to run the number 1 in 2022?
Yes, I am. I'm just going to wear it and hopefully we can break the curse. I ran it this year over in ASR and once again finished 3rd in the championship and had a number of unexpected things go wrong, but we've got to break this curse. We've got to get rid of it. So we're just going to run it and see what happens.
That's a good idea. Otherwise, it's got a hold on you, doesn't it?
That's exactly right. And even if it doesn't, somebody else new might win and it might spice up the standings. So especially when the admin dominates, people do sort of go, oh, you're winning your own series, and it's kind of a weird thing, but they don't realise that everybody else is trying really hard to beat you as well, especially people like Luke Rosella and now Corey McFarlane and Ben Dahlia and all those guys. It's not easy to win one of these races, but those guys are starting to look like they're going to start to take wins off us fairly regularly.
Yeah, well, definitely there is this young talent coming through, and some of those, like Benjamin Dahlia you mentioned, with a bit of real-life experience racing as well. Luke Rosella took a win off you very, very early on in the season when we visited this track back in February, I think it was.
Yeah, he did, after I made a mistake on the final lap. So it wasn't really the greatest way to give a win, but yeah, Luke's come on incredibly strong since then. I mean, we saw him for the first time, I think, in 2020, and I'd say he's now the benchmark driver in Automobilista in Australia. He's very tough to beat. But we've managed to get a few over him fairly recently, so hopefully we can keep doing that.
It'll be very interesting to see how he does with Thomas McMillan, who hasn't raced this year, I think, due to work commitments. Do you know if he's had much seat time?
Yeah, I know he's been practicing hard. Both of them have been practicing for the last week, and I feel like other than the defending champions, that they're hungry after last year. They weren't happy with their results last year, and yeah, they're going to come back strong. And Thomas, he may not have raced, but he's not any slower.
Absolutely. Well, it is a mouth-watering prospect. I think we'll leave it there. Kurt, thank you very much indeed for your time, and best of luck for the 1000.
No worries. Thanks, Des, and best of luck.
Some fantastic insight there from Kurt. Really good for him to share some insight. Speaking of insight, if you are wondering a little bit about what this sim racing gig is all about, if you are, for example, one of those people who's watching sim racing for the first time, you'd be forgiven for thinking that it's just people twiddling around with one of these for 6 hours. Not the case. Something that you will need to be a sim racer is a steering wheel, at least a half-decent one. So this is a little bit of an idea. This is an entry-level G27. This one's been on the market for quite some time now, but it's a steering wheel. It's got quite a bit of force feedback. It's got the little flappy paddle gear shift either side, and this also comes with a stick shift as well. For those of you moving on a little bit further into this hobby beyond the G27, we've got something like this here. So this is, in this case, a home-built rig with a Fanatec CSL Elite. So just to give you a bit of an idea, you can get steering wheels with this. If I can just get this off while I'm holding the microphone. They have interchangeable wheels. So this is a Formula 1 style rim, but you can get GT3 style rims, you can get drift wheels, all sorts of things, and they'll just sort of swap out of that. Same sort of flappy paddles on there, and you can also get shifters. A lot of the guys here racing tonight, they have shifters sort of mounted on their rig like here, so they can shift up and down and so forth. So that gives you hopefully a little bit of an idea. I actually pinched this from our display outside. So I'm just going to give it back to Michael Floodman Zalavari, who's going to give you a bit more of a tour of what we've got in our Tech Talk bunker. Here is Michael waiting patiently for me to give him back his microphone. So Michael, here you go.
Thank you very much, Des, and welcome everyone to the Tech Talk bunker. We had a few people calling us hard rubbish Larko last year in the Tech Talk bunker. We've upgraded now. We're definitely at least budget. So let me have a little bit of a look of what we've got. So we'll start with a bunch of stuff that Stairs has first. So that's Stairs' motorcycle helmet and his book on the death of Art and Senna and Senna documentary. He's got a bunch of autobiographies. It's really, really cool. Jensen Button, Martin Brundle, Mark Webber, Casey Stoner, Kimi Räikkönen. I've heard that's a cracking read. That Lego that we just passed through, that one is mine. That's my favorite piece of Lego. That's the Porsche 911 RSR. And that poster at the back there is mine. Signed by Jim Richards. That is the 1998 Bathurst 1000 winning Volvo S40. Also got a few lanyards from my motorsport marshalling adventures, a few races over in Sandown. Let's just not look at that photo. But we'll bring you over to the middle. We've got our main screen, which is we're going to be using for a few presentations throughout the event. A bunch of event programs from things that we've been to. Bathurst 12 Hours, Sandown, Supercars, the last Supercars race in Adelaide, and also the windbreaker at the bottom. If you ever marshal a Supercars event, they'll give you one of those for free. So get on that and get out to your local marshalling organizations. They do a really, really good job. Speaking of more marshalling, a bunch of caps that they give you for all the events. I've got a vast collection of those. Another new piece of Lego, which is the AF Corsa, the 2021 24 Hours of Le Mans more winning Ferrari 488 GTE. That was a really, really fun build. We've got our whiteboard back, our Tech Talk whiteboard, so we'll be using that in a more effective way throughout the race, just as we did last year. A few other bits and pieces of Lego and figurines. These two books here are mine as well, the 24 Hours of Le Mans decade book from 1990 to 1999, and then this one here, Bathurst Going Global. So that's the story of the 10-year GT3 events at the Bathurst 12 Hour. That is a cracking read. Richard Crowell and Aaron Noonan have done a really, really good job with that. So if you can get your hands on that, that is what you want. And this is our bunker. So we'll be using this throughout the race, show you a bit more of analysis, some strategy, some features, and we'll see exactly how this pans out. But of course, we've got to feature our 2021 Supercars Bathurst 1000 champion, Mr. Chaz Mostert. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much indeed for that fantastic little tour, Michael Zalavari. Madbird, that was just splendid, wasn't it?
It was absolutely fantastic, I've got to say. There is no one who can waffle on about some Lego quite like Michael Zalavari. It's incredibly impressive. And we're very, very glad to see that the feces eating grin of Chaz Mostert has returned, and will hopefully be in evidence for the entire weekend.
Yeah, so we had this joke going on last time where we would always cut to and from that, and I always cut away from it a little bit too early. So I'm glad that we've started off on the right foot by showing his grin of the eating of the feces. Variety. Goodness me, what a start we've got ourselves.
We're really trying to talk around the word shit, aren't we?
Well, you've gone and done it. We are, what are we? 25 minutes into...
We're past the watershed. It's fine. Somewhere in the world, we are past the watershed. So we are here for a practice session just before we go into qualifying for the Bathurst 1000 here this evening. So we've got a lot of excitement still to come. So it will be a qualifying session followed by a top 10 shootout as we showed earlier on. So 7 cars, assuming everyone rocks up. We've currently only got 16 of the 17 cars.
Oh, that's all right.
In the server. That is pretty good. We are missing one. Who are we missing? I'm gonna take a punt and say it's Benjamin Rhodes, and it is Benjamin Rhodes we are missing, and his possible
probably not
co-driver.
in any danger of getting into the top 10 anyway.
Well, you never know. You know, I hear he might be driving with the Spotter's Guide does say that his co-driver is B Zabub, and we know he's had some unholy assistance in the past.
Now, speaking of the Spotter's Guide, you did mention it earlier, Madbird, that you can see it on our Facebook page. That's the Apex Rear Wing Facebook page. Am I not wrong?
You are not wrong. It is on the Apex Rear Wing Facebook page, so head over onto Facebook, Apex Rear Wing, throw us a like, and also download yourself a Spotter's Guide. And while you're there, click on the poll, the straw poll we've got going, to see who has the most popular livery of the lot, and there is a QR code on your screen.
Now, depending on the size of your TV, you may or may not be able to get that QR code on your phone. The other quick way there, Madbird, for you to get that straw poll is to just go to strawpoll.live and type in the pin code 918279.
There you go.
And that will get you onto the poll.
That will let you try to determine who has the best livery, or the most popular livery at least. I suppose the best is not always the most popular, and vice versa.
So what sort of times are we looking at so far? We've got a 2:03.7 from Luke Rosella, which is mighty, mighty quick. The qualifying record from last year was set by Dane Warren, which is a 2:03.389.
That is rapid. But what do you expect from a Warren? It's going to be interesting to see who is going to be doing the qualifying. Does it have to be the A driver, do you know, Stairs? Or can it be either the A or B driver? Because in some of the pairings, like Colin Warwick and Ethan Warren, I'd say Ethan Warren is probably the faster of the two, but he's the B driver. So
because he doesn't normally race in the series.
Yeah, so I wonder if they're able to mix and match, or if they have to go with the A driver. I'm having a look. I do see Termo is in there, but so is Dane Liccardo.
Here is Termo, by the way.
So, actually, no, I think they actually might be practicing some driver swaps.
Yeah, that's a good idea to get that over and done with. We've still got 18 minutes left in this practice session, so they would be doing that. Just to answer the question that we had on the live chat from Ben Hall. The name of the Facebook page is Apex Rear Wing. That's us. We are the broadcasters of this event, so we post all the live streams up there. Madbird's put the spotter up there, and we've got the live poll. Let's see how that's going, actually.
It looks like Brendan Ross and Lewis Wedding, the number 2 car, the has-been racing team.
We'll have to look at it later on the stream, just because I thought I didn't think we'd have enough votes in there to show it during the practice session, so I haven't put it in here. So we'll see it in the qualifying session. So still get your votes in, guys, and we'll see what... don't spoil it any further there, Madbird.
No. Well, I could have been saying that they were in the lead, or I could have been saying that they had no votes whatsoever and, should be very ashamed of themselves. But only 13 people have voted. Hop on there. Let's see if we can crack 20 on this thing.
Yeah, we'll have a few more live polls tomorrow as well. But this one is actually the one I'm most interested in knowing the answer to, because I think that Luke Rosella and Thomas McMillan's Mad Max car will be up there, despite the fact that I can't. I don't like it.
I love it to bits. But
I hate it with an absolute passion.
I'm also the idiot that drove a season in 80s DRM cars that I called the Weave Machine because it had a sexy anime lady on the side. So I've got a different taste. I've got a different taste in liveries to you. I believe would be fair to say.
That's probably true. Different taste in a lot of things, but those sorts of things help us be entertaining, I should say, on these sorts of streams. So Ethan Warren saying, "Hey guys," on the live chat. Good to have you watching along as your teammate Colin Warwick. He's doing a decent job out there, currently in second place, so good to see a bit of pace there. Although, having said that, I don't know if that's a representative time, 1.4 seconds off what Luke Rosella has done.
If it is, then my goodness, Luke Rosella has got has got something over the field at the moment. But I imagine that 15 minutes out from qualifying, they're probably not going at it hammer and tongs in this practice session. Just doing a little bit of cool down, a little bit of just getting themselves settled to push in some banker laps during qualifying itself.
So the interesting thing is going to be that cutoff time. What will that be? That P10 is going to be the thing that we look at in the qualifying session itself, rather than the actual Hollywood times at the front of the queue.
Yeah, much like the Formula One qualifying format, where it's not too much about blowing the field away. It's more about just putting in something safe so that you're within that top 10 and you go on to the next session. Of course, F1 doesn't have a shootout format.
They should. I reckon they should have a shootout Q3 after keeping Q1 and 2 as they are.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Coming up with these ridiculous ideas like knockout qualifying, but I think that's some time since that's happened. But I still bear the scars of watching that 2 races that they had that format.
That's since I started watching. I think was that like 2016.
So. I was living in Clovelly Park at the time, so that dates
2015,
back 2016, I think. Yeah. So 5 years ago.
My goodness, how the time has gone.
So here's Kurt Stenberg's livery on track this time. We get to see how that one is looking. And I mentioned the Mike Raymond tribute on the bonnet. It's a little bit tricky to see that actually from these sort of wide angle off-board shots, but certainly up close, it looks a treat, and a bit of a Toyota theme going on there. Kurt Stenberg tends to always do a livery that's slightly different than his regular season livery as he grazes the wall there through the Gazoo S's.
A sort of similar colour scheme to the normal TSR, Trans-Tasman Racing.
That's it, TTR. Bit confused because TTL has made a resumption of
yeah, when we were under the assumption that it no
they had
longer
folded,
existed.
yeah, because Jack Maloney used to drive for them, and then they stopped being a thing, and he changed over to Trans-Tasman Racing. Those are the guys who I can't see in the stream, in the
I don't see any
server as well. So
I see no TTL in the live races.
A couple of people might have dropped out because you said there were 16 before. There's currently 14 drivers.
Yeah, I reckon there's a few people doing some practice driver swaps and stuff, so maybe working out some last-minute technical niggles.
Interested with these guys, they're always contenders. Third place last year, if I'm not mistaken.
But I reckon they should have been. They were on to win it I believe, and then some very bad luck behind
Bit of server lag there.
behind some slow runners in the Warrens.
I'm not sure. Sorry.
Well, what was
what
Kurt
is going
Stenberg
on?
doing?
Yeah, he's been having a little bit of fun, it has to be said. Let's see what on earth if we can pick up. He's
missed the
He's
pit
gone for
entry, I
some
think.
twirlies. He's done the Steve Richards line. Either that or a very late decision to come into the pits.
And then
He won't want to be doing that in the race, and he just clipped that wall on the inside as well. So goodness gracious me, he will be happy to get those sorts of gremlins out of the woodwork ahead of time. Now, my apologies to David Nenadich. We were just talking about him and his teammate Zach Baker.
Zach Baker, the only one who was still within touching distance of the championship, really, until the end of the previous race. So at the moment is going to be second in the championship, Zach Baker, assuming he finishes well, which is definitely nothing to sneeze at. He's always been a pretty consistent contender up there.
Zach Baker still holds the race lap record for this track with Automobilista Supercars Championship from 2019. Now, I must add a little caveat there that is during using a different version of the mod, a different version of the circuit. But it's not beatable. It's not unbeatable because Dane Warren did a faster time in qualifying in 2020.
Well, and I mean, they keep lap records in Formula One and such from completely different eras of the sport when the cars were faster or slower, or so. You know, why don't we do the same with sim racing? You know, we've upgraded the mod, but some of the times would still be slower than they used to be. So and we should give Zach Baker the credit that he put in an absolute blistering lap time around here in 2019. And again last year they were up there right up until the end of the race. So expecting some good stuff from the ZB Racing team tonight as we watch him come down Conrod Straight under that Hino Truck sign. So how are we going? They are third at the moment in the standings, about 1.4 seconds behind Luke Rosella. Colin Warwick has gained a little bit of time, now only about a second adrift of Luke Rosella, who still leads this practice session. So Ben Hall in the chat just saying, I really wish I could have been racing. It would have been nice to have you out there as well. It would have been fantastic to have a couple extra cars. As it is, 17 is going to be a pretty decent field. But it would have been nice if we could have gotten up to that magic number 20. But oh well, we've always had some very, very exciting Bathurst 1000 races with ASC. Even when there's been, you know, there were only 3 cars left, I think, at the end of last year. But it was one of the most thrilling spectacles I've ever beheld, Stairs. Even though it was only the 3 cars running at the end.
Yeah, and they started with 14 cars, so we're starting with more this year. So even if it is an attritional race, we're starting from a higher base.
Bodes well.
It does bode well. It very much does. So 10 minutes left in this practice session. Sort of see what else we can pick up on. Here's the Sean Allen Sega Saturn car. Now, I believe Sean Allen has some work commitments tomorrow, which means Alex Cattle's going to be starting the race. So
that's a heavy burden for the younger driver to have to wear. So it's he's picked up his pace quite a bit this season. But he's still definitely a sister team driver, whereas Sean Allen is, despite a fairly lengthy absence, I'd say Sean Allen's probably still the one you'd want in the car to begin with. But I suppose the upside is that he can bring it home. And also, I did see in the chat that, or in Discord, sorry, that Lewis Wedding will not be available for the first half or so of the race. So Brendan Ross is going to be doing the first half by himself.
Yeah, that'll be interesting because we've got this event happening much later in the year than normal, and given that it's the run to Christmas, the weekend before Christmas makes it a lot more difficult to actually get all of this sort of done. Yeah,
it's a lot of it is a lot of prep work and a lot of time commitment and figuring stuff out at a pointy end of the year when everyone is sort of very busy to begin with. So it's always very impressive to see it all come together because it is nothing short of spectacular that it does happen because everyone's flat chat and and trying to organise for Christmas and trying to organise for everything. So we've got about 8 minutes left in this practice session. Luke Rosella still leading the timing sheets, and Colin Warwick still trailing. Just watching Sean Allen cruising around, getting a few banker laps in. And we're getting a couple of extra people. We're up to 14 in the server now, so still missing a few. Who are we missing? We're missing, I reckon, we're missing Benjamin Rhodes. We are missing, I should know all of these car numbers off by heart after doing the spotter's guide at work today, but they are slipping my mind, unfortunately. So we have got about 7 minutes now until we get until the practice session comes to a close.
Yeah, so any surprises there?
Not really. I guess Kurt Stenberg being down in 6th is a bit of a surprise. Although the class of those ahead of him sort of speaks for itself. We've got Benjamin Dahlia, who, as we've said, and as was seen last time out at Sydney Motorsport Park, has become something of a rapid driver. Like Kurt Stenberg, I must say, Kurt Stenberg is paired with Corey McFarlane, who was the Super 2 champion. And I think Super 2 in name only, because my goodness, he is an absolute wrecking ball in that vehicle. He is very, very quick. Roadies Racing just pointing out my stuttering in the chat. Don't appreciate it. And Ben Hall just pointing out that it sucks that work happened. I think that's the case for a lot of people when it comes to this sort of thing. You've got to clear basically an entire day, which is difficult to do. It's a lot of time to commit to pretend racing. So about 5 minutes left in this practice session. Stairs?
Yeah, 5 minutes, and that does give us a little bit of an opportunity to go down to the Tech Talk bunker there with Michael Zalavari. So Michael, what have you got for us?
Thank you very much, Stairs and Madbird. And of course, it is qualifying night tonight. So the question that everyone is trying to answer is, how do you make pace around the Mount Panorama circuit? It's a very difficult circuit. It's one of Australia's great circuits, one of the world's great circuits. And it's a very important question because while it is a shootout and while it is a 1,000 kilometres race tomorrow, it is important to get that track position early on because it does help you set up for the rest of the race. It helps you dictate terms in that first stint of the race. So let's have a look at our track. And Mount Panorama is fantastic because it does a lot of things well. One of the things it does well is it tests every single aspect of driving a race car fast. Coming up Mountain Straight, you're at the very top of 5th gear, running out of breath, about 260 kilometers. Then it's the run over the top of the mountain. It's all high downforce cornering, 400 kilometers per hour at the top of the hill at McPhillamy. Plunging down the mountain, it's an entirely different story. It's about your low downforce cornering. By the time you get to Forest Elbow, the slowest corner on the track, you're at 85 Ks in 2nd gear. But once you get there, it's all about straight line speed again. You're running down Conrod Straight, 300 kilometers per hour at the top of 6th gear. So you have this really difficult dichotomy of balancing your cornering in that middle sector over the top of the mountain where you need the car to be stable, you need it to be responsive, you need it to be balanced. You need to use your high downforce setup to get across the top effectively. But then on the bottom end of the circuit, you need to be fast. You need to get all that wing off the car. It's all about low downforce setup, speed, less camber, and about braking. This braking efficiency, you've got 3 hard stops all in a row. So you can't really set up a car to be optimal everywhere. No matter what you do, you are compromising your setup somewhere. So this is a very, very difficult question, but what if we take it to the extreme? What if we go, we want full downforce in one section of the track and no downforce in the other? We want full power and full speed in one section and then absolutely nothing over the top. There's a really, really good example of this in the 2020 shootouts for the Bathurst 12 Hour and the Bathurst 1000. So if we take a look at these cars that were in the 2020 shootouts, we've got on the left here the Porsche 911 GT3R, and on the right, our supercars Ford Mustang. So the Porsche is built to a SRO GT3 specification, a worldwide specification with the FIA balance of performance applied to it. Puts out engine, weighs 1,200 kilos, and in relative terms has high downforce level. See this wing here, the winglets on the front as well, and this diffuser really helps improve the downforce of the car compared to our supercars Mustang. We've got 650 horsepower from that V8 engine, weighs 1,400 kilos, a ton and a half of Australian muscle, and despite having this big massive rear ring on the back end, the downforce is low. It doesn't really have a lot of winglets to talk about, and it doesn't really have any sort of diffuser. So let's have a look at the shootout laps for 2020. So you've got on the left, again, Matt Campbell in the Porsche 911 GT3R for Absolute Racing. On the right, Cam Waters in the Ford Mustang GT for Tickford Racing. Now, going up Mountain Straight, you can very quickly see that the Mustang has the ponies, funnily enough. The V8 engine really helps power out of Hell Corner, and by the time we get to the bridge on Mountain Straight, you can very clearly see that there's an advantage that the Mustang has. It's got 2 or 3 car lengths halfway down Mountain Straight. We run it through again, and we'll get to see how much the Porsche can come back. Look at how much later the Porsche can brake once we get to Griffin's Bend and tip it in. And this is where the lighter weight of the Porsche and its better quartering ability starts to take hold. By the time we get through the cutting, Matty Campbell in the Porsche has already started to peg some of that advantage back. And when we get across the top of the mountain to the first sector, we'll find that the Porsche is actually just ahead. We'll stop it there at the first sector mark, and Matty Campbell's first sector on that lap, a 50.54 versus Cam Waters, a 50.68. So the Porsche is actually ahead by this point. Then we get the run over the top of the mountain. Now, this surprised me the first time I saw it because I didn't expect to see what I saw. The supercar is actually pretty well matching the Porsche over the top of the mountain. And as we come over McPhillamy and out towards Skyline, we'll just pause it here at the bridge, and you can see they're basically at the same point. There's the post for the bridge there, and there's the post over there. So the supercar is actually remarkably balanced over the top of the hill. But going down the hill, this is where the Porsche comes into its own. Through the S's, through the dipper, and you can already clearly see the advantage that Matty Campbell has coming down the hill. And by the time we get into Forest Elbow, there's a visual difference between the two cars. Remember, this is the slowest part of the track, and so this difference of 3 or 4 car lengths, if we stop at the second sector mark, is massive. Look at how much more of that wall is left compared to where Matt Campbell is. In fact, it was 8 tenths of a second that the Porsche was ahead at this point. It was a 31.7 for the Porsche coming across the mountain and a 32.5 for Cameron Waters. The thing that Cameron Waters had in his back pocket, though, is that big V8 engine. And as we come down Conrod Straight, it is all about power. And you can just see Waters eating up the advantage that the Porsche has. And by the time we get to the bridge on Conrod Straight, they're basically neck and neck at that point. So already gained back almost half a second through that small section of road and now into the chase. Campbell doesn't even have to think about lifting here, whereas Waters has to really dive deep under brakes. He actually makes a little bit of a mistake there, a little bit of a moment of oversteer through the chase, and this just allows Campbell to keep up. Just a little bit of a difference underneath the bridge, but the final corner, Waters makes another little mistake. Just he brings up the power there, just there. And that and that's how the laps end. As they come across the line, the two cars were separated by nothing. For the Porsche, it was a 203.555.4, and for the supercar, it was a 203.5592. That is 4 thousandths of a second on a shootout lap at Bathurst, a crazy small margin. But there are a few caveats that go along with this, a few things that you need to talk about when you're making this comparison. Firstly, the conditions. Now, the Bathurst 12 Hour last year was in February, and it was bloody hot. It was hot all week, and the two guys in the room next door can attest to that as well. It was about 40 degrees all week, and it was sunny, and it was blisteringly hot, and what that meant was that the engines were producing less power, the tarmac was just not as grippy, the rubber on the tarmac starts to break down, so you're losing a lot of grip in the UV, and we saw a lot of cars fall to crashes in qualifying because they were looking for pace that wasn't there. On the other hand, the supercars race in October was ideal. There was a bit of a tailwind down Conrad Straight. There was overcast, so the tarmac and the rubber doesn't start to degrade, and it was nice and cool, giving those engines a lot of power. Secondly, the capabilities of the car were built entirely differently. The supercar is built for the Australian circuit. It's built for those punchy straights and getting out of corners quickly with that big engine. The sports car, on the other hand, the Porsche, that's built for a more European style of circuit, a lot of downforce, a lot of flow. So what you're actually seeing in this this feature is a sports car, a Porsche, at the minimum downforce that it can run effectively versus a supercar at nearly the maximum downforce it can run. Maybe a bit less in the shootout, but really at the very limits of what it can achieve. And finally, the session. It is, of course, the shootout. So it doesn't matter how much tyre you're using or how difficult the car is to drive as long as you don't put it in the wall. It's all about getting that one lap pace. In comparison, we're going to be talking about the race tomorrow, and that's going to be all about driver comfort, making pace while still being able to consistently put those laps together. And that is an entirely different ballgame. So when it comes to setting up a car for the Bathurst 1000 and for the shootout, it's a very difficult question. And we're just going to have a quick look at our track here. And I've done a bit of practice analysis. I haven't gotten too far. I haven't found the best sector times yet, but I'm just having a look at what seems to be a good time for each sector. So at the bottom of the mountain, Sector 1, we've seen a good time. Anything under a 51.8 is good. I think the best sector time was about a 51.3. Sector 2 over the top, anything under a 33 is absolutely marvelous. I think the best was a 32.6. So look for those times to be the top one. And then finally, in the run down the chase, anything under a 40 is fantastic. The best, I think, was a 39.3, but don't quote me on those numbers. Overall, I think the best lap time was about a 2:03.3, so that's the number that we're looking for in qualifying tonight. That's how to make pace around Bathurst. Back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you very much indeed for that one. That is some interesting comparisons there that we've seen there from Michael. We'll probably touch on that later. Let's just quickly take you through the points classification as we head into this final round. Kurt Stenberg wrapping the championship up in the previous round ahead of Zach Baker. Then we had Luke Rosella, Benjamin Dahlia, and then Colin Warwick wrapping up the top 5. Brody Steen with a win this year had a really good year and still some positions up for grabs there. Moving on, Madbird to the team's points.
Yep. That is absolutely right. So ZB Racing at this stage looking like they're going to, well, they have taken out the team's championship once again. So very well done to ZB Racing. Absolutely deserved with Blackshaws Racing on their tail. Race on Oz and Race on Oz 2 in 3rd and 4th place. Trans-Tasman down in 5th with only Kurt Stenberg being pretty much the only runner for that team this entire year. Synergy Sim Racing 1, Ultimate 9 Racing 1, Blackshaws RSM Racing, Mute Sim Sports, and all Australian races round out the top 10 for the teams.
And let's turn our attention now to this glorious racetrack that we're about to go qualifying at. There is Mountain Straight. This is great when we get to see a racetrack where we don't have them just numbered. We have actual names with history. Every single corner on this racetrack has history. There's the race lap record of 2:03.899 set in our inaugural year of Automobilista Supercars Championship by Zach Baker. Dane Warren was the pole sitter last year, not here tonight. Who is going to be on pole tonight? But before we go to the top 10 shootout, we've got to decide who is in the top 10 shootout, and that is what this qualifying session is for. And there we go. Let's have a look. That's pretty close, isn't it, Madbird? The best livery is currently being won by Brendan Ross and Lewis Wedding, but it is very tight for second place with Brody Steen and Thomas McMillan there.
Brody Steen and Benjamin Dahlia versus Luke Rosella and Thomas McMillan with 3 votes apiece. So that Mad Max inspired livery doing some rounds, but people seem to like that Brendan Ross Lewis Wedding has-beens racing team livery, and I must admit that is one of my favourites out there as well. Just seeing holding on in huge letters in the Holden font is just somehow very, very pleasing.
I'm just trying to see if we can find that car on track. It doesn't look like... Oh, no, there it is. It is on track. There it is. The Brendan Ross Lewis Wedding. So this is the one currently winning the pole. So if you don't think that that should be the pole sitting... on pole, what I should
It's on pole.
Yes, you get pole for
It's winning the pole.
It's winning the pole,
which is like pole, but
about
it
best
has
livery.
2 L's.
They've come
no
straight
E.
into the pits. These guys.
They have.
They've just done an installation lap.
Apparently.
I don't know.
As I'm watching on our other monitor, Kai Jones just had a very, very close moment coming out of Hell Corner. Coming out of Murray's.
We're just going to catch this one on the replay. Let's see what happened there. Well, he's trying to find himself a gap and must have just lit it up on the exit of the corner.
And he just barely
So that lap's not going to be any good.
managed to keep it out of the wall. So
He's continued around. Whoop, we've got a temp car there.
pants might be a little bit full for that particular man.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Here is that has-been car. So very, very reminiscent of the of plenty of the Holden liveries, but just a little bit different. And I think Luke Rosella and Lewis Wedding and Brendan Ross are anything but has-beens. But I suppose they've got a sense of humour about themselves at least. So that's the important bit.
Yeah, so
we've
36 minutes. Whoop,
we've got a 40-minute session. 40-minute session.
It's a long
set
time,
aside.
isn't it?
It is a long time.
Quite a bit of time to figure this out, don't they?
They do. They've got plenty of time to try to get their best laps in to get into that top 10. We will be losing, at this stage, we'll be losing 6 of the runners out there. We have got 16 cars in. Notable from his absence is what's his name? Benjamin Rhodes, who we are missing. Wait, no, we're not. He is in fact in the server. I do apologise, Mr. Rhodes, for doing you a mischief with that particular piece of misinformation. So I'm not sure who we're missing.
Yeah, so let's just have a look there. So the 16 cars on the track currently are Luke Rosella, Colin Warwick, Sean Allen, Zach Baker, Dane Liccardo, Brendan Ross, Kai Jones, Brandon Dostal, Steve Warwick, Michael Pollard, Rhodey, Cameron Parrott, Lachlan Burke, Kurt Stenberg, Brody Steen, and Luke Yeager. So the one missing, is it the Myers? It's the Brady Myers and Joe Mugford car, number 22, I believe. So we hope that they'll come in. Now, unfortunately, that was it was Brady Myers. I believe it was Joe Mugford was teamed up last year with Jake Maloney, and they ended up being a non-starter. So they signed up, and then they didn't end up qualifying or taking part in the race. So
that's a damn shame.
Understand sometimes this sort of thing happens. You don't quite get the you just don't quite get the opportunity to, for whatever real life obstacles that come in the way. But we've had a bumper round of cars. So of all of the cars, so 17 cars, the only car that's not got a co-driver is Benjamin Rhodes. And honestly, get that man a co-driver, because last year he did 98 laps before he unfortunately binned it. But that was, I thought, quite a mega effort as Brendan Ross puts it into the fence there at Metal Crate.
It's an incredible effort. And we also had RSM Latino, who's managed to find himself a teammate for this year in Steve Warwick.
They were teamed up last year, I think. But RSM Latino did do it solo.
I think he had to do it solo in the end because
in 2019.
Steve had issues or something.
No, it was 2019, I think you're thinking of, when he did the whole thing solo. And he finished. He wasn't on the lead lap, so he didn't do the full 161, but
still mighty impressive.
That does not detract from a mighty effort.
Absolutely, it doesn't. That is a very long race to do. I was going to say mano a mano, but that would imply that you had someone with you. That is a very long race to do solo. Let's hope for Benjamin Rhodes' sake that he can repeat that feat tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to see him finish the race tomorrow. That would be my hashtag Rhodium. He messaged me earlier in the year, Madbird. I haven't told you this, but he messaged me earlier in the year and asked about something to do with the pentagram that you drew on the whiteboard in last year's broadcast, because he wanted to incorporate it in his livery.
Oh, very good.
Such a thing has not eventuated.
Oh, that's a shame. No, I have noticed that there's a couple of little. There's Big Brain Racing is on his bonnet, and he's got Hans logos on the wing, which I believe would be a reference to Hans Brunswick. I don't believe those are real sponsors. I could be wrong. Big Brain Racing is a fantastic name for a sponsor, but I don't think it is. There was nothing particularly special about the pentagram I drew. You know, I had a word with the devil, and I said, look, I would like for Benjamin Rose to get a podium. What can you do for me? And he said, look, I'll see what happens. Unfortunately, he DNF'd some laps before I drew the pentagram. So perhaps if I'd gotten on it earlier in the broadcast, then something would have eventuated. But didn't end up being the case, unfortunately enough. But you know, there's always this year, and he's giving himself the best opportunity by qualifying.
100%.
So we've got Lewis Wedding in the chat just saying the 2008 Bathurst HRT livery, specifically the second car run by Glenn Seton and Craig Baird.
Oh, Sean Allen in the fence.
That is a hefty accident.
Skyline, that is a very hefty accident. He will
not be setting a flying lap on this particular occasion.
Good call. Here's a replay. So coming out of the grate, was he wide? Oh, that
Looks
was...
like he
brushed the wall. His mirror very nearly went missing, and then,
onto the grass.
Onto the curb there, and that has fed it straight into the wall on the inside there. And
it's uncomfortable.
All she wrote. Uncomfortable is a good word.
Benjamin Rhodes saying, I will put that pentagram on
next year's car. There you go. Whoops.
Did I mispronounce a name?
Glenn Seton.
Glenn Seton.
Glenn Seton.
Well, look, I'm
now,
trying.
For those of you new to those of us new to you, those of you in our audience who are new to the Automobilista Supercars Championship will know that although Madbird is a keen race fan, he came to racing later in life and doesn't have the sort of breadth of history of supercars that the rest of our audience does.
I don't really have the breadth of currency with supercars.
That's true. He's more of a Formula One fan.
I don't particularly watch supercars other than pretend supercars.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which I get very excited about, it must be said.
So, what have we got to show so far for our qualifying session, where we've got 30 minutes remaining? Luke Rosella's currently setting the pace, and he's on a 2:03.8, which is mighty close to what he managed to do in the practice session. And we've actually only got 10 times in the book so far, and Kai Jones is 10.4 seconds off of Luke Rosella's pace, so one would think that that benchmark is going to move fairly substantially before the end of the night.
You would hope so. That's that's not an awful time, I suppose, but you would expect it to drop a little bit for qualifying. Still just got just under half an hour remaining on this session, so...
Brody Steen's just popped his way into the top 10 there.
Just popped in.
Just popped in.
Just popped in.
For a cup of tea and scones.
Just popped in.
Oh, aye. Oh. Come in. You must be parched. Come into the top 10. It's cold out there in 11th through 17th.
Or 16th, or 15th, as we only have 15 runners at the moment.
So... a number of cars not yet having taken to the racetrack.
Yeah, so Brody Steen having taken that 10th place from Kai Jones. So currently Kai Jones, Steve Warwick, Brody, Michael Pollard and Brandon Dostal are the ones sitting outside the top 10. In the danger zone, as Liberty Media's Formula One would want you to label it.
Which car do you think is the best livery? You can vote on strawpoll.live, put in the pin code 918279, or scan the QR code. There is also a link in the description for this video. And my vote goes to this car, Madbird. That's what I put.
You like the Race on Oz?
I really like it. They've gone for something different, and they've incorporated the yellow of Race on Oz and the green that Benjamin Dahlia tends to run. And I think that it's a nice touch. They've put it together quite well, and something that we haven't seen before.
It's very Australian, isn't it? Like the green and gold. Very, very... Oh, as we've had Luke Rosella punch in a purple lap.
That's a 2:03.6. That's the fastest lap we've seen.
It's coming down,
isn't it?
So, and while you're at it, might as well have a tell us in the chat You don't have to tell us who you voted for, but give us some of your feedback on the liveries, what you think of them. Head over onto Facebook, Apex Rear Wing, and get yourself a copy of the Spotter's Guide. If you aren't sure what the liveries look like, we will be obviously showing them off during the race and qualifying. But you know, you only see them for a fleeting instance like this as they soar past the camera and off into the distance. So if you want to have a decent look, hop onto Facebook and grab a copy of the Spotter's Guide. If you're wanting to follow along with the timing, rsmclanau.liveraces.com to keep abreast of all of the position changes in this qualifying session. I reckon it's going to get spicy towards the end as we go into the shootout. We've been taken by surprise a couple of times this year with we sort of get lulled into a false sense of security with these qualifying sessions sometimes, where we're like, all right, it's all sort of settled down, and then in the last 30 seconds of the session, we'll suddenly go bang, 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 and we'll have 3 or 4 changes for position.
How does that go?
Goes bang, bang, bang,
Bang, bang, bang,
bang, bang, bang,
bang, bang, bang,
bang, bang, bang. That's
Okay.
that's the person banging on the old woman's door because they're so parched, and then she says, "Oh, come in, you must be parched."
I must have got Benjamin Daly and Brody Steen another vote there because they're up to 4.
Very well done. Luke Rosella and Thomas McMillan, they deserve more than
I
3
thought they would be
votes.
up there despite the fact I don't like that livery.
They
so
deserve more than 3 votes, though. They should be at the top. So
Yeah.
anyone out there that's a fan of Mad Max, I know you're not particularly a fan of Mad Max.
Not
Maybe
a huge
that's
fan. Oh,
maybe
it's
that's
changed.
part of
I
it.
think there's been another vote there for
Oh.
Benjamin Daly and Brody Steen as we've been looking at it. So
Oh,
they're
so-
up to 5 votes.
Well, see, this is because you spruiked them.
I
so-
know. Well, I'm looking now at this one here. I mean, I know this is similar to a livery that we see for most of the year with the with Colin Warwick, but they've got the card effects tie-in now with Ethan Warren. I think it's quite a smart-looking livery. It's come up well.
Yeah, it's very
I
nice
don't
looking.
think, as much as I've poo-pooed the Luke Rosella Thomas McMillan livery, I don't think there's a bad livery in the bunch.
No, they're all there's something to look at with all of them. None of them are just abjectly awful.
Just looking through them now. I like the Steve Warwick one. This is, of course,
The Black
Colin
Shores.
Warwick's father racing with RSM Latino.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that Black Shores livery that he runs in the main season as well. So, there's, I think that's one of the things about sim racing that's often overlooked is sort of the artistry to design some of these liveries. Like, there's quite a lot of design that goes into making a car look good. You can't just put some color on it and then just throw logos at it until it sticks. You have to. There's quite a lot of craft around getting it to all sort of cohesively come together, following the lines of the car, and all that sort of thing. So I think it's something that really doesn't get spoken about enough. Is how good some of these cars, well, how good most of these cars look. So yeah, I think talking about sim racing liveries is something that should be done more than it is.
Well, I've got Benjamin Daly and Brody Steen's vote count up to 6, so we might just leave that and park that for a moment. We'll come back to it later on in the stream, but very interesting indeed to see what people's favourites are, and we'll keep an eye out. Now, 24 minutes left in the session. We now have 12 times in, so that is going to be a cut-off time as I'm looking at it as a 2:08.1. So there's quite a sizable gap between Brody Steen in 9th and Cameron Parrott in 10th. It's something like, oh, and that's actually just changed as I'm looking at it. Sorry, I'm looking at Michael Pollard now. Michael Pollard is in 11th. He's on a 2:10.4.
He's about 2.3 off of 10th place at the moment.
Yeah.
So he's not within
these
knocking
guys.
distance of the door.
These guys are racing. This is Aiden Sykes and and Ben Rhodes. Not Benjamin Daly. Less tennis ball green. Benjamin Rhodes operating for Ultimate 9 Racing. We've got a few people for Ultimate 9. They race over in the ASR Australian Sim Racing League, which used to be the Automobilista Australia series, which is kind of where we sort of spawned this series off from, as a lot of the guys who run this series race in iRacing
and they wanted to run a series in Automobilista, which is a much more, I think it's got a lot more good feedback about its handling model than iRacing does, so that's why we have so many converts.
I'm sure if Josh Bagsy was here, he'd probably tell you it has a better penalty system as well compared to iRacing. And obviously, it's a very different beast. iRacing very much designed for multiplayer, whereas Automobilista still designed for multiplayer, but in less of a live service model kind of way. Automobilista, there's quite a lot of just vanilla cars that you can just get along with. There's so much modding that's available to Automobilista, which is the main reason we haven't switched over to Automobilista 2, is because there isn't that decent base of modding like there is with the original game. So there's a lot more options for customizing your experience. Well, I mean, most of the races in the Supercars calendar aren't available in iRacing. So
yeah, that is actually a good point, because with iRacing series, I think they've got Oran Park, a couple others that slip my mind right now, but they don't have the full calendar. And as we heard from Kurt Stenberg at the top of the show, this is a series where they really enjoy trying to replicate the real life Supercars calendar, which can present quite a few challenges. For better or for worse, this is why we had a 3-month hiatus, but the plaudits must go to the competitors, because they sat out that hiatus and the numbers didn't drop when we returned, even though we went to Sydney 3 times in a row in the main week, and that was just fantastic watching. And so this series is going from strength to strength. As you say, as I said earlier, with a 17-car grid for Bathurst, which is nothing to sneeze at, because with only one of those cars being a single car, I was going to say pairing, but the single driver pairing isn't actually
only
pairing.
Only a solo driver.
That means that we've got 33 drivers.
Yeah, which is a lot of people that have organised themselves to be available for most of a Saturday in December.
The last Saturday before Christmas.
Literally the Saturday before Christmas. So, to get themselves organised and be here. So we get the absolute pleasure of getting to watch it and talk excitedly over it for hours and hours at a time.
Absolutely. So, who else have we got running on track? There are 13 times now on the board, with Rhodey having done his opening lap that we are looking at the moment.
So Luke Rosella still leading the field by 0.5 of a second over Colin Warwick. Quickly followed by Kurt Stenberg, who's managed to get himself up into 3rd place. Dane Liccardo currently in 4th. Pretty decent showing from him. Lachlan Burke in 5th. And as I say, that Colin Warwick drops out of the session. So
yep. So this man that we're looking at on screen, Cameron Parrott, he was the man on the bubble in 9th place, and he has been promoted up to 9th with Colin Warwick dropping out of the session there. So he is actually the man on the bubble, and I think he's just probably on an in-lap now. So who's close to him?
He's a bubble boy.
He's a man in a bubble. It's the Moops.
Anyone that hasn't watched Seinfeld, if such a person exists, that must have just been an incomprehensible series of references.
I'm sorry, the card says Moops.
It's boys, you idiot. It's a misprint. Oh my goodness.
Aye, sorry.
My partner and I... What was that? Aye, sorry.
I can't remember what episode it was, but Costanza going, aye, sorry, I know speaking English or something like that.
Very funny. Very funny. Keith Hernandez. Me and my partner
was that
just
wrong?
Finished watching.
Should I not have done that? Apologies, everyone. Lots of Seinfeld references. We enjoy.
You had sex with the cleaning woman on your desk.
Was that wrong?
Should I not have done that? Because if someone had told me that was not an okay thing to do, then, whoa.
I got to plead ignorance on this thing. So we have wandered slightly off topic, it must
just
be said.
slightly. But Michael came in looking very disappointed
as
with
you said, that comment about the sex on the bench. Anywho, here is Cameron Parrott. He is now back to his rightful place of 10th. Oh, rightful. He's obviously trying to change that. But Colin Warwick has rejoined the server, so that means we have 15 cars in there, 2 missing. So we don't know just at this early moment why we're missing those 2 cars.
Termo in the chat just suggesting that Luke Rosella's livery is based off of Wolf Creek rather than Mad Max. Which
did I misidentify that?
Well, you know, I thought the same thing because of like the sort of rust, the sort of rust motif that it has on the front and back. Although having said that, it does sort of explain the blood splatter across the front quarter panel of the car. I don't remember. I must admit I haven't seen Wolf Creek in quite a long time, and I didn't particularly enjoy it, so I didn't probably commit it to memory. I don't remember a car quite like that. In the film.
So Michael Pollard, he's the man currently who is the fastest who will not qualify in the top 10 shootout. So that's not a moniker that you would want to have.
that's a very positive spin you've put on it, though. The fastest of the people who will be dropped.
The fastest out in the cold.
The fastest loser.
Your words.
My words.
Direct all complaints to mad@bird.com.au.
My words. I'm thinking about retiring my old Hotmail email address.
Oh, this is a big, guys.
On the subject of Madbird at bad whatever you.
I didn't give out your actual.
No, you didn't give out my actual one, but my actual one is quite similar.
Oh! We've had a moment there. Which car was that?
Zach Baker, and I believe that was Luke Rosella, even possibly.
No, it was the Shell car.
The Lachlan Burke car.
Just trying to.
Dostal and Luke Yeager, we are getting told, probably reliably. But it was involving Brandon Dostal. So I'm not sure if he got punted by Zach Baker or if he was having an accident.
I think he had an accident up ahead. He was on a hot lap. He had the headlights on. Let's catch a replay.
Zach Baker right behind him. So this would have been a very scary accident to witness from Zach Baker's perspective.
Oh, yeah, he had it wrong from the moment he appeared over that crest, and when he exited back to the pits before he'd finished having the accident.
Quick thinking and reflexes from Zach Baker to just peel off across the inside of Skyline.
He's peeling off
into the pits.
Yeah, so probably was on his in lap anyway, by the looks of it.
Very, very possibly.
Yeah, he's definitely on his in-lap after that accident anyway, even if he wasn't planning to be. So, where is Zach Baker currently in the order? 6th place. He's relatively safe, about, quite some margin off the cutoff, which is 4.1 seconds off of Luke Rosella, who's the current pace setter. Geez, they're ones to look out for. Luke Rosella and Thomas McMillan tomorrow, because we haven't seen Thomas McMillan this year because he hasn't raced due to work commitments. But he's flamboyant, isn't he? And we know how fast Luke Rosella is. He is a very quick cat. So very much so.
Luke Rosella, he's a quick cat.
He's a quick cat.
Thomas McMillan, we've seen in the past, is absolutely blisteringly quick when he wants to be. All right, there's the
probably answers the question, doesn't it? Thanks, Termo, for the heads up on that one. But it's the Wolf Creek inspired livery. I still hate it.
Oh, that's incredible.
Anyway, I wonder if that gets him a few more votes. In case you're wondering, we do have this poll going, which is to answer the question, what is your favourite livery? Which, that question, go to strawpoll.live and put in the code 918279 to answer the question. Yes, they are actually called Mick Taylor Racing, so maybe that could have been a bit of a clue for us as well.
Man, we're not on fire.
We're doing well.
We're doing so well. What was I talking about? Thomas McMillan can be absolutely blisteringly quick when he wants to be. And
he can be blisteringly quick.
We've seen him be almost untouchable on occasion. I remember a fantastic race at Surfers where he was the class of the field and then had an accident. I remember him doing quite well at, what's the, Pukekohe. I remember him having a very good race there. Pukekohe? Pukekohe, is that how it's pronounced? Thank you, Michael Zalavari. So Luke Rosella and Thomas McMillan falling behind there. Get that going,
Not by
boys.
far.
Well, they're double.
With 6 votes, though. That's easily overturnable.
That is easily overturned. We'll get in there, my Mad Max / Wolf Creek crew. So very, very good pace from Thomas McMillan in the past. And especially here at Bathurst. I think last time out he was quite quick until he had an accident. And I think a lot of stories about Thomas McMillan go that way.
He was quite quick.
He was quite quick until he had an accident.
Now, you say that he is capable of incredible feats when he puts his mind to it. And I've heard that he's been doing a lot of practice this week, so I don't believe that he's going to have lost any of his pace. And so that will be a telling thing. I remember a race... Oh, who's that in the fence? Oh, he's exited out as I cut to it. So someone has had a bit of an accident. We'll see if we can pick that up. But I remember a very quick race from Thomas McMillan at the Gold Coast a few years ago where he was on his way to an unassailable, an unopposed victory. And
Gold Coast, not Surfers. That was the one I was thinking of, Gold Coast.
Same thing.
Yeah. But like Gold Coast is the actual name of the track.
Well, Surfers Paradise Street Circuit, I think, is the actual name.
Never mind.
I've derailed my anecdote.
I have,
but
please continue.
What derailed him on that day was the fact that he disconnected. So that was incredibly poor luck for poor old Thomas McMillan, and that was something that showed me that he can.
When he puts his mind to it.
Yeah, when he puts his mind to it, he can do it. I remember. Sorry, I'm regaling you with another anecdote. He was with Josh Anderson in 2019 for the Automobilista Supercars Bathurst 1000. I was actually watching this during the week, and he came on the stream and had a bit of a chat to us, and was very, very downtrodden with their car. Just had no pace, and he was openly admitted it on the stream while we're still racing, saying the car's rubbish. And then shortly after that, his teammate put it in the wall, and that was that. So that was unlucky. I don't think that was representative of his true pace, and so I think teamed up with Luke Rosella. They didn't really show us what they had last year. They were teamed up last year, but I just don't think they showed the pace that they're capable of. This year might be the year.
It could be, and I mean, Luke Rosella, we've seen, has been pretty rapid all season long. He won last time out in Sydney. It's sort of semi-enduro, the practice for an enduro, so it's pretty decent. That's pretty decent form to carry into the longest race of the season, winning the second longest race of the season. So hopefully he can bring that nous in tomorrow. And as much as we're hyping, as I saw an accident beginning to occur, but I think he caught it, Michael Pollard at the last corner.
And thus hasn't improved his time.
No, he hasn't.
See what Brandon Dostal can do. Currently sat in 11th. He's actually been making progress further up, and we've just caught him on an in-lap.
We're doing well.
We're doing well. We're just
under 10 minutes.
We've managed to get our way through this.
We've waffled our way through 30 minutes of qualifying action.
Well, we're getting to the pointy end now. With 9 minutes remaining, we are starting to look at the times getting slightly quicker, and a 2:03.5 from Luke Rosella is mighty, mighty fast.
So Cameron Parra at the moment is about 1.2 seconds ahead of 11th place man Brandon Dostal, so he'd be feeling pretty safe in the danger zone. He would probably not want to be in 10th if at all possible. I would expect a bit more pace from Brody Steen, currently in 9th place, 2.1 seconds.
He should be safe.
Off the pace. He should be safe.
He's on an outlap. He's on a... Spent a lot of time looking at the timing.
So
and yeah, reasonable.
Reasonable,
yeah.
middling. Yeah.
Oh yeah, thanks for that.
What a crap present.
How long do I have to keep this to be considered polite before I chuck it out?
15 seconds.
That's quite a short amount of time, 15 seconds. Apologies if you're experiencing any stuttering there. We just had a little bit of a breakup. We are running off a wireless setup today, so unfortunately we couldn't get the wired internet in place.
We're in a fresh house.
We're at a fresh studio.
Fresh house, fresh studio, fresh digs, as we see Luke Rosella, Thomas McMillan car overtaking the race on Oscar on their outlap.
So Michael Pollard currently in 12th place. Let's see if he can improve on that.
Looks like he'll be remaining there at the moment with this particular lap.
Yeah, he's been a bit wild. There's some rear traction issues. Did he get a track cut? That's some effort to get a track cut.
Yeah, you
on this track.
You have to try quite a bit unless he's gone across at Skyline or something.
So it looks like the guy currently in 10th place is about to move the goalpost because in fact, he just did move the goalpost. He's just completed a lap, and that was about 2 or 3 tenths faster than what was previously his time. He didn't improve his position, but he made what was 10th place slightly faster.
Didn't he just? I've discovered who we're missing. So we're missing the number 22 car of Brady Myers and Joe Mugford. That is the only car that we're missing out of the field. So 16 of our 17 entrants.
Tonight?
I don't believe so. I don't think they've been in tonight. So hopefully they'll be in for the race tomorrow. As I was going to say before, qualify. As we've got a bit of lag happening on our other monitor and someone just disappearing off the track. As important as qualifying is, it is a very long race tomorrow, and there is plenty of time to come from the back if you have to, or to make up for errors, as we see an error from Brandon Dostal.
And then he lagged off the track. That's a bizarre one.
Just moonwalks himself
he got
off
his
the
wheels
chase.
on the left-hand side coming in, and he should have been all the way over to the right-hand side by then. So he's only got 5. Well, he's got plenty of time to get around again. 5 minutes and 45 seconds left in the qualifying session.
Sean Allen just slapping the wall on one of his hot laps. And I think Michael Pollard just there on our screen at the moment, having a bit of a Larry lap himself and getting out of the way for Cameron Parrott, who's currently still in 10th, so still sitting in that...
That was the other car that looks like Michael Pollard. There's two. It's probably the Kai Jones, Liam Budd car.
Yes, very, very similar.
Who both have very similar liveries. So the one that is just about to cross the line here, this is Michael Pollard, and he has improved, but not enough. He's found 2 tenths of a second, but he's still in 11th place as our server just stutters once more. So a bit of server stutter. We hope this doesn't happen tomorrow. And Michael Pollard in frustration.
Has he managed to do that?
He's going to go back to the pits. Let's see if we can catch a replay of what on earth happened there. I mean, I think this was going to be an in-lap from Michael Pollard anyway.
Ooh.
That's not what happened, was it?
No, I reckon that's a bit of lag. And then it was... He took as much curb as possible, plus a little bit more, and got some grass to go with it.
Didn't he just?
And not the grass that, not the grass that you want.
Not the happy grass.
No. The happy grass that you inject into your eyeballs.
Oh, is that how you do it?
I believe so. I've never done a marijuana, so I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, not a suppository?
Just to rub it on your skin?
Oh, like aloe vera.
Yeah, or like a nicotine patch. You just, ow. That sound was me slapping myself and hurting myself.
Nicotine patch.
Nicotine patch.
Nicotine patch.
I think they should pay us, and we can write them a...
They could do it like a jingle, like that that ABBA song. Take a chance, take a chance.
Yeah.
Nicotine, 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 nicotine.
Nicotine, nicotine. Put a patch on it. Nicotine.
And you won't smoke again. Need to shorten the syllables.
I don't know if you can shorten syllables.
Yeah, no, shorten the syllables.
They're sort of immutable.
3.5 minutes remaining. Cameron Parrott just brushing the wall. He's trying to move these goalposts, and he's pushing very, very hard.
He's desperate not to be in that seat at risk.
Imagine, he's been in 10th place for the longest time. If he gets unseated with 3 minutes left, won't you feel for him?
Absolutely.
So Brandon Dostal in 11th. He's in the pits. So is Michael Pollard. Steve Warwick's currently coming down Conrod Straight, so I don't believe he's actually on a flying lap just yet. He might be about to start his...
Well, if Cameron Parrott's going to be unseated, it's going to be one hell of an improvement.
It'd be Liam Budd or Ben Rhodes.
I thought you were talking to me for a second. Liam.
It'll be Liam Budd or Ben Rhodes. Let's have a look at Liam Budd because he is on a flying lap.
I'm not your
Steve
Budd
Warwick
guy.
isn't.
I'm not your pal, friend.
Very good.
Thank you.
Ben Rhodes and Liam Budd are separated by 0.8 of a second on track. So Liam Budd, he's going to improve, but he's got a long way to go to get to the lap time that he needs to beat, which is a 2:06.9. So he'd have to find some sort of meteoric improvement to get there.
Well,
Termo saying, don't give up your day job. I believe that's in reference to our ABBA-inspired
I reckon it's pretty good.
jingle for nicotine patches.
I reckon it's pretty good. Just off the cuff, it needs a little bit of...
yeah.
Needs a little bit of...
Syllable shortening.
Yeah, syllable shortening and polishing, like a fine rock, a fine nugget.
Well, I thought we were about to have an accident in place there from Steve Warwick. Liam Budd is going to come across the line. He improves by 0.7 of a second, which is enough to put him into 13th place. So he skipped a few spots there.
Jumped ahead of Steve Warwick and Rhodey.
He has indeed. So Steve Warwick is having an accident here at the exit of the cutting.
We've only got 1 minute and 40 seconds left.
That's no good for Steve Warwick. I think he's consigned to the bottom 7.
Anyone that's not currently out on the track will not be setting a lap time.
So I don't think this was setting the timing screen to light anyway.
I don't believe it was, but he has nevertheless continued. Never mind.
No, he's continued back to the pits.
He has.
So Liam Budd will have another go. As far as the other cars that are out on the racetrack, Michael Pollard is on an out lap. We're at the moment just looking at the bottom 8 because they're the ones who can see their way clear into the top. So out in the pits currently, Luke Yeager, Ben Rhodes and Steve Warwick. They have no chance. Liam Budd is improving, as we can see on the screen right now, and Michael Pollard is on an out lap, and so too Brandon Dostal. So those are the only guys who can unseat at the moment. Cameron Parrott there as Liam Budd gets it all crossed up coming over the top there. So let's see whether he can continue to improve. Through Forest Elbow for the last time for Liam Budd. Let's see whether he can do anything coming down Conrod Straight now. So there's 18 seconds remaining in the session. Michael Pollard is going to cross the line to start his lap with about 10 seconds remaining in the session. We're going to stay with Liam Budd for now. Brandon Dostal has started his lap. And after that, that's pretty much it for knocking people out of the top 10 shootout. So let's see whether Liam Budd can improve. Cameron Parrott currently sat pretty up in the top 10. Coming around the final corner now. And he's pushing hard. It's not enough. He will stay in 13th place. So let's see what Brandon Dostal can do. We saw him earlier on losing it at Skyline.
Sounds like the name of an album, doesn't it?
At Skyline.
Losing it at Skyline.
Losing it at Skyline.
Losing what?
You're a virgin idiot.
I don't know why I pronounced it that way. He's down on his personal best by a second. He's hit a car!
Oh my goodness, that's unfortunate.
That is the ZB car.
And Michael Pollard's coming up to this scene, but I think they've got out of the way. Oh no, they haven't. That was dangerous.
Ooh.
Oh, goodness me gracious. That's not good.
Goodness me gracious. That was not good
Let's
at all.
see this one again.
So how has this happened? The ZB car, that is very unlike them to just have a car sitting on the racing line like that, unless they just had an accident, but then they still didn't escape back to the pits.
Well, that's absolutely cemented it for Cameron Parrott, I believe.
Well, yeah, he's breathing a sigh of relief, seeing if we can get...
Zach Baker doesn't know how to exit back out of the pits. He's still...
No, this is... So we're looking at how the accident occurred.
Yeah, so Zach Baker has had some issue all by himself, so we'll try and find... Actually, I think he came across another car. We're going to have to go back and find
This is some dominoes.
So Zach Baker... Oh! Which car is that? Is that the Liccardo Turmo car?
It looks like it. Yes, it's that black and orange Fuchs liveried car. My goodness, what a series of happenstances.
So we're gonna have to go back and
and he was involved with another accident.
All right, watch the replay here. So this is Dane Liccardo
dissected. Whoops.
So a car has collided in front of him.
So I reckon that is the Luke Yeager.
It's the Luke Yeager car. All right, so we're gonna have to find that one.
No, we saw that accident.
Did we?
Yeah, he was just he lit up his tires and went into the wall by the looks of it.
This is like Crashception.
We need airline investigations air crash investigations
So,
level.
seconds to disaster. Luke Yeager's coming around the cutting now, but things are about to go very much south.
Disasters don't just happen. There are a series of crashes across the top of Bathurst.
Well, my goodness, there was a series of them, wasn't there? As I think the server's about to reset, so we might miss this. But no, he's just got it on throttle exit,
Series
and
of
that
swappers.
unfortunately has put paid to Dane Liccardo's lap there.
And then if we keep on watching, then I think in a second, there we see Zach Baker.
And that just moves the crash slightly further on down the track.
And then, in a moment's time, Zach Baker just sitting there confused as to what's happened.
Wait for
Sitting
it.
there for quite a long time. And we
and
don't
then
even see
I
the
think
car.
because that car is out of the server now, and so it doesn't actually show the car.
And then I
But we saw it early on, and then there's
another one.
another crash there. Oh, God. Well, I mean, it ruined his lap. He didn't hit it.
There it is.
That car hit it. That's why. That's why I was confused, because it was the first car missed it, and that was the.
That was Michael Pollard,
And then the other one was Liam Budd and Kai Jones.
who are in the almost identical liveried cars. So, my
What
goodness.
an eventful end to the qualifying session. Good crashes. Really good crashes.
Fantastic crashes.
Love
well
it.
done all
Thanks,
around.
guys. Very entertaining. So, the top 10 is Luke Rosella, Colin Warwick, Kurt Stenberg, Dane Liccardo, Zach Baker, Sean Allen, Lachlan Burke, Brendan Ross, Brody Steen, and Cameron Parrott. Those guys will be vying for pole position, and they are our top 10.
Aren't they just? Very, very well done to all of them. So, losing Michael Pollard, Liam Budd, Steve Warwick, Rody, Luke Yeager, and I believe Dane Liccardo. No, sorry, I'm a fool. Dane Liccardo's in the top 10. There was another car that we lost, but I have forgotten who that was. Who was not in the top 10.
Dane Liccardo he's finished fourth, actually. That's a pretty good effort from Dane Liccardo, who's been making some improvements. I believe that he's been getting a bit of coaching for his racecraft from our friend Steve DeVries, or Netherrealmian, over in ASR, because he did have a bit of a reputation of being just a little bit too aggressive, and so I think there have been some moves for him on his side to improve that, and he came away from Super 2 on Monday winning both of those races.
Excellent.
And holding off Corey McFarlane, the Super 2 champion, who is no slouch. He's won 2 main game series. So Dane Liccardo winning 2 races against Corey McFarlane, who he was admittedly all over him at the top of the mountain, but could not get past. Cool heads prevailed, and Dane Liccardo got those 2 wins. So
Mighty
he's going
impressive.
in on a hot run of form, and he'll start the top 10 shootout as a result.
And he's got the benefit of some recent, obviously, pretty much all of our drivers have got a lot of experience racing around Bathurst, but some recent racecraft experience around Bathurst in the last week is probably going to be very valuable tomorrow, having done 2 races around here in the very recent history. So Brandon Dostal was the person whose name I was reaching and failing to find, who we also lost.
Well, we've only got the livery pack dropped yesterday, so we've had about a day to familiarize ourselves with these liveries, and so some of them haven't exactly had a chance to ebb into my mind yet. And I did have a couple of beers at the Christmas work lunch, excuse me, in the meantime.
Very good.
I might just pop out and get a bit of water. You can talk for a little bit.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, well, my first experience with the liveries was I've recently, and by recently I mean probably around this time last night, I finished putting together my new computer. I'm very excited about it. And what did I do with my new beast of a computer? Do you ask? Did I load up Cyberpunk and max all of it? No. Did I finally play Control and put all the race tracing on? No. I opened Automobilista, went into the showroom, and took screenshots of all the cars. That was the shakedown for my beast of a PC, and I managed to get about 45 minutes of control play tonight before I had to unplug it all and bring it here, because unfortunately one of our broadcast computers died yesterday. Nothing ever goes 100% smoothly for us. You'd never know from the outside, of course. So currently my beast of a computer is sitting behind the desk, just running a copy of Automobilista, which, it's capable of doing. So
yeah, so we have managed nonetheless to get the stream up and running through quite a lot of work on not just my part, but Madbird and Michael Zalavari have worked tirelessly throughout this week. And of course, James Donovan, who is helping us with his camera skills as well. We've borrowed equipment from my good friend Ben O'Teal, Frankie Films, and all of the team there. So our special thanks all to those guys. This is why we can't quite put on a live stream of quite this quality every single time, because it is literally a full week's worth of preparation and a lot of goodwill from quite a lot of people. So we nonetheless are still always striving to make every stream entertaining and a high production value. We like to go above and beyond for this one, though. It is absolutely something that we look forward to every single year. So the top 10 shootout will begin not too long from now. We have selected the top 10. So a few cars being dropped out of qualifying. We had 17 cars to start with. They've been whittled down. I should say 16 cars, because we didn't see the Brady Myers and Joe Mugford number 22 car for TTL Esports make an appearance tonight. So if they start tomorrow, they will be starting from the back of the grid. And so that will be mighty entertaining to see on the early stages of the great race tomorrow. The pace set by Luke Rosella, though, 2:03.5. That is absolutely nothing to sneeze at. Very, very close already to the sort of lap times that we saw last year. Dane Warren setting the qualifying record of a 2:03.389. So Luke Rosella is only about 0.2 of a second, 1.5 tenths of a second, less than that, off of the qualifying record set by Dane Warren. Could we see a new qualifying record tonight? We didn't think that it was going to be threatened, because Dane Warren was absolutely a man on a mission last year, just going through a tour of all of the Australian racetracks and demolishing the lap time records for all of those racetracks. What we did find surprising last year was that no one touched the race lap record from 2019, which is still held by Zach Baker. So if you've just joined us, we're waiting for the top 10 shootout to begin. Not too far away now, I should think. Having decided the top 10, the shootout isn't too far away. So they've got a little bit to do with the server to just get the right cars in, and they'll probably be briefing them as well of the procedure for getting them all underway.
Yes, indeed. They have to manually arrange them all. I reckon we might be ready to go. I did see a message in the chat from one of the admins. So
yeah, we'll see if we can. We'll see if we can get that message up there. What did that say? Yep, they're telling Cameron Parrott. Giving directions to Cameron Parrott. So let's see if he has actually made it onto track. I believe he is about to start his lap. So let us go and view Cameron Parrott.
There he is. So first of the shootout runners into the first turn and up Mountain Straight we go. The 10th place man in proper qualifying, but which means he's the first man on track for the shootout session. All the way straight. It's going to tip it into Griffins. There he goes. A little bit tentative. Took a few bites of it before he really threw it in there. Probably could have used a little bit more curb on the outside. Through and
whoa! Through the cutting.
Very actually
well held.
Yeah, well held.
Not fast.
No.
Right, let's see what he can do. Very close to the wall there. Coming up to Reed Park.
Yep, and across the top of the mountain, very close to the wall there, but didn't touch it. And across he goes again.
Whoa! He nearly backed it in there, coming through McPhillamy. Up towards Skyline. Looks pretty good through there. Fairly clean as he may be taking a little bit easier. Just a little snatch of the brakes on the front left there. Was there a graze of the wall as well?
Yeah, it could have been. It doesn't look like he's lost too much time, though. Coming down the mountain now, very, very careful through Forest Elbow. Nearly brushes the wall on the exit, and onto Conrod he goes.
So he's all the way over to the left-hand side, I should say, driver's left. Very early on down Conrod on this occasion. So let's see whether that has hurt his exit, as he was obviously still in the early phases of acceleration there, down into the chase. Backs it in again. He really... a lap time that is going to be reasonable. If anyone gets a track card or bins it on their lap, he's going to be ahead of them. So good job there from our first runner in the shootout, Cameron Parrott.
Very well done. Next up, we have got Brody Steen, who a bit of a fan favourite, I think. I don't think anyone was particularly upset when he took out his first win at Sydney Motorsport Park a couple of rounds ago. Just a generally nice guy, and he's been very consistent. He's one of the drivers who I remember us calling him back in Automobilista Supercars. Back in Automobilista Australia Supercars Championship before they became ASC. So he's been around for a very long time, and he's been a very consistent and well-placed runner for Race on Oz. Along with his teammate Sean Allen, has been doing a very, very good job of getting decent points for that team.
Yeah, just weaving his way down on his outlap, of course. Still getting a bit of tire temperature in there.
Got to get all the temps you can. Obviously not particularly quick, but that is because it is an outlap. Into the chase he goes. You see the flames spurting out of the sides of the cars.
This was a pairing that changed from the original registration. This is the first time that Brody Steen has not driven with Sean Allen for the Automobilista Supercars Bathurst 1000. He's of course paired with Benjamin Dahlia, but it was going to be the other way around. He was going to drive with Alex Cattle, and Sean Allen was going to drive with Benjamin Dahlia.
Maybe something to do with Sean Allen's work situation.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think so. I think they're putting all their eggs in this basket, Race on Oz, and this is the pairing with the fastest two guys, and Sean Allen, I think, because he's not able to give it his full commitment, didn't want to take that risk of letting down Benjamin Dahlia.
Yeah, he's been out of the game for quite a bit, has Sean Allen. So probably on raw pace, I would say, I don't think it's controversial to say on raw pace he's probably faster than Brody Steen, but in terms of recent experience and consistency, Brody Steen probably has him pegged at the moment, so probably a wise decision to switch those two around and go for it with the green and gold Race on Oz car.
Yeah, so what do you think of his lap so far, Madbird?
Yeah, he's doing quite well. He's always up, coming through the first sector and now down across the mountain and into Skyline we go. Down, a little bit of a lock-up. Sounded a little bit messy, but he's managed to pull it up. Very, very aggressive into these corners, very close to the walls. That's what you want to see. There he is on his lap. Is a little picture-in-picture of the driver himself, Brody Steen. Brushes the wall on the exit.
New feature we've got this year. We've got the picture-in-picture. I hope he's not watching the broadcast and being distracted by... I'm hoping we're actually muted. It's weird. I look over to the screen and it feels like he's reacting to what I'm saying. So I hope that I have muted myself and I'm not completely distracting him. But here he is coming down into the chase.
Nice and tidy.
Yeah,
no
beautiful.
backing it in. On the throttle almost immediately. Very, very tidy from Brody Steen. Heading on down towards the last corner now.
It's been a clean lap from Brody, hasn't it?
Oh, bit of a lock-up right at the end. Manages to keep it on the curbing and across the line, a 2:06.1. So probably not quite as quick as he was hoping to get. I think he lost a couple of tenths in that last corner. Just that little lock-up and running very wide didn't help him out. But still, on the whole, a very, very decent lap from Brody Steen.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see, who have we got next up? We'll be looking at Brennan Ross.
For the Has Been Racing team.
Yep.
One of the favourite liveries. As he's taking it very, very slowly through Forest Elbow. Getting a bit of... Oh, that's a little bit of server lag. He isn't actually moving in that way. He is weaving, but a little bit differently to how you're seeing it. Server seems to be struggling just a little bit tonight, so apologies for that. Hopefully that irons itself out over the next 24 hours. Ooh. I'm sure he's weaving aggressively, but I'm not sure he's weaving quite that aggressively.
Yeah, it's basically just going to be scrubbing the tyres across the surface, isn't it?
Yeah, let's get some nice flat spots before we start our hot lap.
100%.
That's what Max Verstappen said at Abu Dhabi.
So Brendan Ross starting his lap and lagging out of the server. Oh, this is not good timing for Brendan Ross. Right as he's about to start his lap.
Well, hopefully he's on his screen. It is hopefully continuing on as normal.
No, there he is. Yep.
Into Hell Corner. And he's got the long climb out of Hell. All the way up the mountain.
It is quite some way up the top. So as far as the time so far, we've of course had Cameron Parrott and Brody Steen, 1.7 seconds separating them. So we're going to get a little bit of a indication fairly shortly from Brendan Ross. So in his pre-race analysis, Michael Zalavari told us that a 51.8 is a very, very good Sector 1 time. So as far as the guys that have already run, we've had a 51.9 from Brody Steen, so only a tenth and a half off. And Brendan Ross, 51.7. So that is, according to Michael Zalavari, a very good Sector 1 time. And I can't disagree with him there.
Yeah, it looks nice and tidy from Brendan Ross.
Thought he just sort of got it a little bit sideways there, you know, just, you know, and he managed to gather it up though. Very, very fast on the exit through there.
And a little bit of a lock-up coming down and into Forest Elbow, but he managed to get it tidied up in time. He is still ahead coming through the second sector split, about 3.5 tenths to the better over Brody Steen's time. Coming down Conrod Straight under the bridge, and he's already on that left-hand side, going to use all the asphalt available to him. Very early turn in. Thought he might have touched the grass there for a second, but he managed to avoid it. Nice and tidy through the chase.
I've been liking this lap. I think Lewis Wedding, his teammate, will have been watching along too and just nodding in agreement with everything that Brendan Ross has
Yes, I agree with you.
Oh, as I say that, just a snatch of the break.
I don't agree with you.
Disagreement, but agreement with the live timing there, which shows 7.6 or 0.76 of a second of an advantage over Brody Steen. So well done there for Brendan Ross. That is a pretty decent time.
It is indeed. Next up, we have got Lachlan Burke in the All-Australian Races 44 Mustang. Still going through his outlap and warming his tyres down the mountain. There's the Pizza Hut hoarding. Not a brand you see around too much nowadays.
No, not so much.
Do you remember Eat-In Pizza Hut?
Yeah. Because James, and he's just walked in, I remember James and I watched the Bathurst 1000 in 2009, and afterwards we went to an Eat-In Pizza Hut.
Did you indeed? Is that in fact a fact, Mr.?
That is a fact.
Thank you very much, James Donovan. So we have got, I was just thinking that my friend Stairs was going senile, but...
No, not senile. Not even slightly soon.
We have independent verification
exactly.
of
that was fortuitous timing.
That was very good timing.
Yeah.
James is very good at coming when he needs to. Lachlan Burke has started his shootout lap.
So up the straight in the Napa Auto Parts car. I think this is one of the best liveries as well. If you haven't voted in our poll, definitely consider this one.
Yeah.
Even though it is based on a real-life livery, it is very, very...
It looks great.
Yeah. You know, I suppose sometimes you think, oh, is it because you are copying a real livery or, you know, it's an original livery? Sometimes that affects people's vote in these types of things. But in my case, you know,
no.
I don't mind that at all.
You can be inspired, or you can, like, it still takes a lot of artisanship
to put all of your things on it in a pleasing way. And I can see they've got the Tamiya sponsorship on the rear right corner, which of course we're both a big fan of, I think. We both liked when Luke Rosella, was it Luke Rosella who ran the Tamiya branded car for a while? It had a huge Tamiya down the side, as we can see.
There's been a bit of a change in the votes there.
Benjamin Dahlia and Brody Steen.
They still lead, but Brendan Ross, Lewis Wedding up into second. The Thomas McMillan, Luke Rosella car's been
Fallen
relegated.
away.
Hashtag relegated.
Hashtag
So Lachlan
relegated.
Burke is up by 0.2 of a second. So that is going to be very, very close. Well, if he doesn't beat Brendan Ross, he's going to be very, very close indeed, because he definitely seems to have the pace at the moment.
Nice and tidy down Conrod Straight, which it's difficult not to be tidy through Mountain Straight, I suppose. Conrod Straight, again, my apologies. Very nice through the chase. Got up on the curb, but no wheel spin by the looks of it. Just planted the throttle and went. We've seen a few people trip up here at the last corner. Will they be one of them?
You can see the tyre mark from the previous one, which
Doesn't
was
look like it.
Brendan Ross. Lachlan Burke's going to come across the line, and he takes provisional pole position by 0.3 of a second on a 2:05.0, and I think he can be pretty happy with that one. And Hans Brunswick, his teammate, also.
Absolutely. Very, very nice work indeed to Lachlan Burke. Sean Allen, the man we were speaking about just before, currently on his warm-up lap, will not be able to run the first section of the race
so he's
tomorrow.
going to be putting Alex Cattle in for probably 3, even 4 stints, because he won't be able to get home until much, much later in the day.
That's going to be a marathon effort from Alex Cattle.
Definitely.
Of course, it is going to be a marathon effort for Benjamin Rhodes, who's going to be doing the entire thing solo.
That's it.
So, you know, I suppose it could be worse if you were Alex Cattle. And they're going to have a very strong driver in the car for the final half of the race.
Yeah, so coming home, that is what you want, the fastest guy in the car, because there could be safety cars and that bunches the field. So if you've got your co-driver minimum laps out of the way before that, it puts you in a good strategic position.
So coming through the chase on his outlap, down towards Murray's.
No worries.
For the team from Murray's.
Through the corner to start his lap, the limp-wristed flag marshal there with the green flag.
It's not really holding a very enthusiastic, and neither is that one on the tower.
Nonetheless.
Both looking quite bored.
So Sean Allen coming through to begin his laps. Interesting, he sort of goes to the middle and then eases his way over to the left-hand side, quite a long way down Mountain Straight. He hasn't actually done that yet.
We've seen a lot of there he goes, just slowly edging across. We've seen a lot of people they come around the corner and they just immediately almost go full lock left to get over to the left-hand side of the track, and I don't think that's quick. I think you want to ease your way across, because any time that you're going laterally, side to side, is time that you're not spending going as quickly forwards. So I reckon Sean Allen...
That was a Martin Brundle sort of style comment that you just made there. Yeah,
that is the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Very good. 3/10 up through the first sector. So Sean Allen, 51.4. Bada boom, bada boom. I'm excited about this.
Bang, bang, bang. Goes Sean Allen through the first sector at least.
That's interesting, because his qualifying, I think race pace is his forte, and I'm sure he hates me saying this because I mention it a lot, but his qualifying form has always been a little bit lacking, and he's showing real pace right now. The benchmark's are 2:05.0. I think we're dipping into the 2:04s with this lap.
He's like the opposite of Goofball Antics, who we always referred to as a qualifying specialist, and he got quite annoyed at that. Sean Allen, we always refer to as a race specialist, because he never seems to really be able to pull it out in qualifying, but he's pulling it out today on the grandest of stages.
Just thought this is probably a good time to mention Mr. Walshy on YouTube on the live chat saying, keep it PG, please, just as you said, pulling it out.
Yes, do apologise. I will try my best.
Do your best, do your best. There are kiddies watching, and if there are kiddies watching, hello, kiddies. Sean Allen going through his final corner to finish that lap. It's going to be provisional pole. It's a 2:04.7. That is a very, very solid lap there from Sean Allen. He'll be right up there, I should think.
I would expect so. We have got the ZB racing car of Zach Baker number 512 on his outlap. Have always been pretty rapid around here. Of course, Zach Baker holds the race lap record. A little bit of a moment through Skyline. Would not want to put it into the wall on a shootout outlap.
No.
But as I was saying, Zach Baker with the race lap record for Bathurst back in 2019. So obviously a lot of nous around this track.
Lots of nous.
So much nous. Enough nous to fill a house. As he comes down. As he comes down Conrod Straight. Hasn't it just, matey?
We've got there though, and we'll be ready and refreshed in the morning for the 1,000. I can absolutely promise you that. Still the matter of the previous, of the final 5 in this top 10 shootout. Zach Baker, if that was a dress rehearsal for breaking for the
He'll want
chase,
to do that better.
Yes, he'll want to do it better.
Time.
He'll be the first to admit it, I'm sure. So, Zach Baker qualifying this car. He's teamed up, of course, with David Nenadich. We know that. We know this.
We know that. I'm assured of this. But no, they've always teamed up as far as I'm aware. I've never seen them. They don't really have a sister team or anything like that. It's always just been Zach Baker and David Nedadich. So, once again, both of them quite strong drivers in their own right. So, very much looking forward to this as he goes up Mountain Straight, eases his way across to the left-hand side for the braking zone at Griffin's. In he goes. Nice and tidy, uses all the track available to him, bumps over the curb. That was very nice indeed. And into the cutting. Can be a very difficult braking zone because you gotta be turning and you're going uphill. So you got to change in direction and a change in elevation as you're trying to stamp on the brake. Can be very difficult. And this is basically an entire flat-out run with tiny little lifts. And he's actually down through the first sector by under a tenth, but still. Hopefully he has a strong run across the top of the mountain and down Conrod. Very, very nice through the top and across Skyline. And a little bit of a lock up there coming down from Skyline. Don't know if it cost him any time, but it certainly looked a little bit fraught. Down through the dipper and into Forest's elbow. A little bit of a wiggle on the exit, and he's still down from the second sector by about, is that 7/10 of a second? My goodness. That is a large deficit for him to make up, and that just goes to show how strong Sean Allen's lap really was. All the way down Conrod we go. Throws it through and into the chase. Much, much better braking this time around, so the dress rehearsal went well in the sense that it gave him an idea of what not to do. And down into Murray's we go. Will he snatch a break like so many have? Doesn't look like it. Nice and tidy through the apex, onto the curb and across the line. And that is only good enough for 4th.
Yeah, he will be disappointed with that, I think.
That is a very poor lap from Zach Baker.
And so that means that he will start no better than 4th. There's still 4 cars left to set their lap times, of course. So that is well, I'm glad that, I think they're happy that the result is decided tomorrow and not on the basis of that shootout lap, because I'm sure they can definitely do better. Let's have a look now at Dane Liccardo. He's on his out lap and he's one of the cars that we have images from. This is Dane Liccardo, currently in the picture-in-picture.
It's a very red computer that he's got there. Lots of LEDs. Beast!
Yep.
Loving it.
Just doing a little bit of tyre warming up there, you can see. Moving from side to side just a little bit. It's interesting, the steering inputs, they look smaller than what it actually looks like the car is doing on track, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I could say that. Although I always find it interesting that, you know, you turn a lot less when you're going at high speed, even if you're going around a similar angled corner than you do at low speed, because of the way that cars work.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Doesn't it just? Throws himself into hell. As we said, has had...
a lot of oversteer on the exit there. I lip-read that one.
Yeah, that wasn't difficult to tell what he was saying. Thank you, as BT would say.
This picture's paid for itself already.
Hasn't it just? all the way up Mountain Straight he goes.
I don't mean to laugh at your misfortune, Dane, if you're watching the broadcast back, but just gives you the insight. You know, these guys are they're really on the edge, and these little moments, they know how much they cost, because up the straight, uphill, a little mistake at that very, very simple first corner is actually not that, which is actually not that simple in reality, costs you all the way up.
And he had a little shake of his head as well going through the cutting. He's not happy.
Yep.
But we'll get to see as he goes across the first sector. He's about 0.4 of a second down, so not insurmountable. And we've seen he had very good pace during qualifying and during practice. So he's definitely not out of this completely as yet. Goes through Skyline. Down across, much, much tidier than Zach Baker. Much tidier, and gets it nice. Nice and close to the wall.
Yeah, he's trying to make up time over the top of the hill. Let's see. Very, very tidy there through the elbow, and we'll get another indication very shortly indeed. 0.695. That's going to slot him maybe up there with Brendan Ross. Depends how good his exit was, I think. He's still swearing away down the Conrod Straight by the looks of it.
Yeah, when if you mess up on the first corner of a lap, you got a long time to carry that annoyance with you, I suppose.
Yeah, it really does set your mind frame for the rest of the lap, the way turn one goes.
It lives with
That's
you,
clean.
doesn't it?
Well, excuse me, my voice just...
It was clean. It was clean. It was clean.
That was clean there from Dane
chase.
Liccardo through the chase. One more corner now for the man who finished P4 in the qualifying session to get into this shootout. A little bit more oversteer on the exit there, and he goes into 5th place, 9/10 down.
And not happy.
Yeah, he's punching the steering wheel in frustration.
Oh, I've been there, mate.
Give him a bit of privacy now, but Dane Liccardo there would have been hoping for more, considering the promising qualifying session to get into that shootout.
There's 161 laps tomorrow.
Oh, and nothing to be ashamed of.
We've all been there, I think.
100%. 100%.
I don't think you'd find it rude, Stairs, if I suggested that you and I have both had our share of ragey moments.
We both had to kind of stop competitively racing because we were damaging too much equipment, and also our friendships with our housemates were under some sort of threat also.
And mentally, it's just hard to maintain that level of annoyance at yourself.
At yourself.
Well, I'm very rarely angry at other drivers. I'm annoyed with myself.
Yeah, but sometimes it feels like it's with someone else, because you're just like,
and then after 15 minutes, you sort of look at yourself and you're just like, my goodness.
Like, what am I doing with my life? But not to say that that's any any reason here to be concerned.
No, goodness me, no. It's very easy to make a tiny error like that, and a tiny error like that can put you on the back foot for the entire lap, and it's a very long lap to be on the back foot for. As speaking of being on the back foot, Kurt Stenberg looked like he had a bit of a frightening moment going through Griffin's Bend, just a little bit too wide, straddled the curb, and looked like he had to sort of stutter on the brakes to keep himself from flying into the wall. So not an auspicious start to this lap, and indeed he's down by 0.4 of a second. So Sean Allen at the moment has it is appearing that 2:04.7 is proving an insurmountable goal for several of these runners.
Yeah, and Kurt Stenberg, who is the champion, not defending Bathurst crown. Gee, that was all over the curbs there. I'd love to see his picture-in-picture there, but unfortunately he's in the race control channel, and his that's locked for us, so we can't actually see his webcam. But this is a very sideways lap. This is uncharacteristic, I think, from Kurt Stenberg. He's brushed the wall on the exit of Forest's Elbow, so I don't think this is going to be good enough for Kurt Stenberg. Sean Allen's time, as you say, standing the test of time.
His time is standing the test of time. Very, very good. As Kurt Stenberg comes down and through into the chase of things that aren't very good, this lap at the moment is one of them. So nice and tidy through the chase. Well, I mean, it's still probably better than I could do. And then
he's coming into the
pits, so he very
Did he get a track cut?
He might, maybe he got it.
Oh, this is big.
He did look like he was quite wide going through Skyline or down Skyline.
Wow.
He looked like he was all four wheels over the line.
That's
maybe.
huge.
So Kurt Stenberg at this stage will be starting from 10th place.
That is the story. That is the story of the night so far.
Thank
Kurt
goodness
Stenberg.
He'd be thanking his lucky stars that he sealed up the championship at the last round, because 10th...
He'll make his way
10th at
through
Bathurst.
quickly to start.
He will, but it is a very long race if he has a tangle with someone.
Yeah,
So
straight
into the garage.
And
not happy.
this man, wow, the odds for Colin Warwick and Ethan Warren, if they weren't already sky high, are even further higher than they were before.
Straight up.
So someone called Mick Floyd is asking a few questions on the live chat. So I wonder if that's the same Mick Floyd. No, I'm getting him confused with Mick Taylor.
Yes, no, Mick Taylor you're thinking of.
Very much so. So, Colin Warwick, on his warm-up lap, what can he produce?
What can he produce, indeed?
Well, you know, you would have thought that he and Ethan Warren were favourites for the pole sitter, but I thought they were going to put Ethan in for qualifying, and Luke Rosella has proved to be very, very quick in the lead up to this top 10 shootout.
Haven't seen Ethan on the server tonight, so perhaps he wasn't available.
I reckon they'll put him in the car first up, though.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And then him against either Luke Rosella or Thomas McMillan in the early stages. They might try and get a bit of a lead. Kurt Stenberg will be fighting his way through. Let's not sort of count our horses yet, because Colin Warwick still has to set a decent qualifying time. So far, I've liked what I've seen. This is a guy who's gone from strength to strength this year, even though he's been dealing with some issues with his health off track and has missed a few races as a result. The races that he's been here, it's like he's gone to another level, and he's won his first race as a single car driver at the Bend against none other than Kurt Stenberg.
What a race that was.
Absolutely just a brilliant spectacle, that one.
Surprising everyone. But yeah, I was going to mention that as well. He's been, considering he's had quite a lot on his plate, and he's 2/10 up through the first sector.
That's good.
Considering he's had quite a lot on his plate. Outside of sim racing this year.
Millimetrically perfect there from Colin Warwick.
Millimetrically?
I'm probably going to go and watch this lap a little bit later on.
It is a little bit of a lock-up.
Ooh, that might have cost him a bit of time there. Let's see.
He managed to get it.
Whoa, he's brushed the wall. Yeah, and that all
cost him
came
some
from
time.
just getting a little bit deep and missing the apex a bit earlier on. This is going to be very interesting now. It was absolutely perfect for Colin Warwick until that happened. He's still up by 0.2 of a second. So even despite those little mistakes, he's matched Sean Allen. This is going to be very, very interesting.
It is. I reckon he was up until he had that little error, though. It's kind of like Maggots and Beckett's at Silverstone. If you get yourself offline at any stage, it sort of ruins you for the rest of it. How is he through the chase? Looks a little bit deep. No, he hits that apex perfectly. Very well done. Catches a little bit of curb on the exit. Lovely. All the way down into Murray's. And I'm not even going to mention it. He's going to ace this corner. And in fact, he does. Through with a little bit of tail
You said that before he got onto the throttle, and that is pole position. He dropped time in that final sector, though. He's only at 10th up. 2:04.6 is the provisional pole time, and there's only one man left in this session, and that is
in our
Luke
favourite
Rosella.
car.
So this is the Wolf Creek inspired livery by Luke Rosella, and he was the fastest by a mile in the qualifying session to get into this shootout. Well into the 203s, the favoured 203 land, which maybe the others are too scared to go into 203 land because there's the risk of desert-dwelling murderers there.
Because Mick Taylor's there.
Yeah.
My goodness.
My goodness, indeed.
My golly gosh. As
what?
As he's down Conrod Straight, sorry, on his warm-up lap. I still think this car looks excellent. That might just be me. And judging by the poll results so far, we'll have another look at that in a minute. It might just be me. But I think it looks the business. And Luke Rosella himself has been on an absolute run of form this season with a lot of podiums under his belt. So he would love to add Bathurst to that list.
So the time has come for Luke Rosella. Is this him stepping up to the plate, or will he buckle under the pressure? My money is on the former. First corner, first braking zone, first turn in, First traction exit. It's pretty uneventful, which is what you want to see, isn't it? No theatrics on the curb.
Yeah, he's got this. I was gonna wait until he'd gone through the first corner to call it. He has pole position.
You've done it. You've absolutely given the mockers to him, Luke Rosella.
I'm calling it right now. So if you don't get it, Luke Rosella, you know where to come, and please don't Mick Taylor me.
All right, up to the cutting. It looks good. It's just that car just looks like it's on rails. And I was interested in his line there. He's going right up to the edge there. A little bit of a wiggle there, but it's just absolutely in the right spot. Those mirrors, even though those mirrors come off. If you do hit the wall, the mirror will actually come off. So the fact that they're still on there shows just how close, because it looked like it was brushing the wall. Bit of grass there. You can hear that on the tires.
You can. It's
gathers it up. He's going to lose a chunk of time. That's almost what Colin did, but Colin did a smaller version of that. And Luke Rosella, he's going to have lost 0.5 of a second in that one moment. But he might have that margin. He might actually have that margin. Let's see what the sector time says. He's down by only 0.1 of a second. He's still in this. He could get the pole position despite being down. Colin Warwick lost time through that final sector, Madbird.
He did, and Luke Rosella was absolutely blistering during practice and qualifying. So if he's got something to pull out, it is here in the braking zones for the chase. The traction traction coming out of the chase and the braking into Murray's. Very, very neat. Over the curb through the chase. Very well done. And catches a bit of curb on the exit. That is absolutely picture perfect. And into the last corner. Will he snatch a break? Of course he won't. No, he doesn't.
It's going to be close. It's going to be mighty close. It's been a great final sector, and he snatches pole by 1/4 of a second. It's not the fabled 203 land, but it is pole position for Luke Rosella, and he will be absolutely thrilled with that. I thought he'd thrown it all away, Madbird.
Yeah, and he flashes the lights. He's pretty happy with himself, and why wouldn't you be? That was an immense comeback in that last sector. From a 10th behind to 5/10 up. We know Colin Warwick had a bit of a lousy last sector, and I mean lousy by his standards, but still very, very, very impressive from Luke Rosella to recover after that. It's very easy after an accident like he had at Skyline to just to get frustrated, to lose focus, but he had a couple of bad corners. Got his head back in the game and pulled out an incredible pole position.
That was a blockbuster end to the session, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. And thank God I didn't... When he was sideways going down the skyline for just those couple of seconds, I was like, oh God, I have actually put the commentator's curse on him, but...
Well, he did lose a lot of time in that mistake, didn't he?
He did. He lost an absolute... I reckon he was up by 4 or 5 tenths before he had that error, and then down a 10th after. So he's just continuing on his cooldown lap. Probably just waiting for his heartbeat to cool down.
Yeah, my heartbeat is cooling down as we speak, but it's taken halfway through his cooldown lap for that to happen.
You know how streamers will wear like a heart rate monitor?
Yeah.
I think we should start doing that. And
let's borrow it from Colin Warwick, because I believe he's got one.
we can see how our heart rate lifts and plunges throughout the broadcast. I think that'd be rather interesting.
I think he's in Discord. I don't know if we can hear him. Luke, I know you're still driving, but have you got us?
Yeah, I got you, mate.
Oh, well, congratulations, Luke Rosella. You're a pole sitter.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's probably the worst lap I've ever done in Mount Panorama, but yeah, no, it's brilliant. I mean, we've had car pace all week. Thomas has done a great job with the car setup and all that, and yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, as you're coming into the pits now, you obviously had margin in hand because you were well into the 203s. So I know that's like 8 tenths off what you did to get into the shootout. That was enough.
Yeah, it was. I was pretty much mentally nearly screwed at turn 1 for the rest of the lap because I completely missed the apex. The rest of the first sector was pretty good. And then, I completely got sideways at Skyline. hit the inside wall before the dipper, and yeah, I pretty much thought the lap was done. I mean, but then out of Forest Elbow, I was only 2/10 off, so I'm like, if I can nail this last sector, I could be on here. And yeah, it was a pretty good last sector. It's might be one of the best I've done all week, but yeah, went across the line until I was I think it was 2/10 ahead of Cole. So yeah, it was amazing. It's a testament to the effort me and Thomas have put in this past week, and it's paid off. So yeah, it's brilliant. Pole position.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Luke. Are you going to be starting the car, or are you putting Thomas in first up? Or are you playing your cards?
Decided, but Thomas is pretty keen to start.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll figure it out. It's gonna.
Yeah, I'm pretty keen.
Well, Thomas McMillan joining us as well. So, Thomas,
excellent.
You must have loved watching that from your teammate Luke.
Oh yeah, it was pretty sketchy lap from him, to be honest. We've been pretty quick all week. We made a change last minute, and yeah, the car's been pretty good ever since. So, I'm ecstatic. Pole position, nothing can be better.
Absolutely. So, well, that is a very, very exciting prospect. Congratulations to you both. Madbird, I think you've got second place qualifier Colin Warwick there with you.
Absolutely do. Hello, Colin. How is your heart after that sort of sketchy run through Skyline?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I remained calm. Just tried to put the lap together, and I made probably about 5 mistakes over the lap. Probably the worst lap I've done tonight. And considering in qualifying they were probably ordinary laps too, I was on for a 3, probably about 3 or 4 times, and threw it away in the last sector. So yeah, the car pace is there to match Luke, but yeah, full credit to him. He's on it tonight.
It does appear to be, and yourself and you can't be too upset with the front row though.
Yeah, not bad for the B driver to be qualifying and still putting it on the front row. So
we were
yeah,
slightly. Sorry, no, you go.
Ethan will be back tomorrow, and he'll be doing his first lap in warm up. So we'll see how he goes.
We were wondering if we thought that Ethan would be the one to qualify the car. No offense to yourself, obviously. Was he just not able to be here tonight?
Yeah, he had another race on iRacing that he made a commitment to, so he went and did that, and I said, yeah, I'll happily qualify the car, and yeah, pretty happy.
Well,
I went about 9/10 quicker than I did last year, so pretty happy with that.
You can't be too upset when you give him the news. Then, will he be starting the car tomorrow or yourself?
No idea. We still got to go through setup and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, be pretty busy tomorrow morning, and then figure it out from there. We'll just go with it like we did last year, and hopefully get the same result as last year.
Absolutely. Cross fingers for you, mate.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
And Stairs, I think you've got. I think you have Kurt Stenberg with some lesser fortunes in the qualifying session.
Yeah. So Kurt, commiserations. It obviously didn't go your way tonight. Tell us what happened, mate.
I made a mistake at turn 2, ran it completely wide over the camber of the road, and had to try and save it. And then yeah, we got up the hill, we were trying to gain time back, and we went in too deep. We got out of control, and we went straight over the track cut over the curb there. So my mistake. P10 tomorrow. It's not where you want to be starting, but at the end of the day, it's a long race, and I don't think it'll really matter after the first few laps anyway. I'm not 100% sure, but now after we're starting here, I kind of feel like I need to start the car tomorrow, but I'll have to talk to him just so that we can make up some spots and set the race up. But we'll have to play it by ear, I guess, and we've got some other issues we need to sort out as well that have come to light. So yeah, I'm not sounding very confident here, and there's good reason for that. That was a bit of a wake-up call with the pace of Luke and even Colin and stuff. So, well, at least we've got some time to work out some things.
Well, I'll let you spend some headspace on that. So, commiserations, mate. I hope it turns around for you.
No No worries.
All right, so very, very good to hear from our front row, and also Kurt Stenberg, who unfortunately will start 10th after having that mistake on his qualifying lap. We do have, I might be throwing him in it, but our pit reporter for tomorrow will be Bagsy, and he has jumped into the broadcast chat. So Bagsy, I might be asking you questions without notice, but well, how are you?
He says, Madbird, how you go? I'm doing quite well. I got back just in time to see that final lap from Rosella, and it was quite an excellent lap. And yeah, I'm glad I was able to watch that one. I'm looking forward to what he can produce in the race tomorrow. It's definitely all on him now to try and keep that momentum going. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you heard how excited Luke and Thomas were with that pole position, and they definitely have been preparing well for this race. The contrast there between the excitement of those guys and Kurt Stenberg, of course, who has won this race second last year. What did you make of that? It's unfortunate for Kurt, but it's such a long race, and really, while it's disappointing to go poorly in the shootout, it's not the be-all and end-all in this race. It really isn't. He's a strong driver, and he's gonna have a good race tomorrow, I'm sure. It doesn't take much to be able to get to the front when you're already in the top 10. You're going to be able to get up there and be about it. It's 1,000 kilometers, 161 laps. So much can happen that the starting positions, it's handy, but it really isn't. It isn't the death of you. Absolutely. Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to throw down to the Tech Talk bunker with Michael Zalavari, who's got some analysis. So, Michael, what have you got?
Thank you very much, Stairs. And I'm just going to take a quicker look at the qualifying results compared to the shootout, and just trying to show you a little bit more about how hard it is to get one lap around Bathurst. So what I've done here is I've plotted each driver, each of their quali laps and each of their shootout laps. And I've had a look at the gap between their quali lap and their shootout lap. Remember, they had 40 minutes of qualifying to set those laps versus their one lap dash in the shootout. And we all saw, for Luke Rosella, it was a very close run thing for the one-lap dash. He was 8 tenths slower on that shootout lap than he was in qualifying. But a few things that I really want to pick out and have a look at here. Firstly, these three in the middle here, Sean Allen, Lockie Burke, and Brendan Ross, all three of them either improved by 1/10 of a second in their shootout lap compared to their qualifying lap, or basically stayed the same for Lockie Burke. What that meant is that when everything was all said and done, they jumped up the order. So they've all gone up 3 places from qualifying into the shootout. Conversely, those who lost a time on that one-lap dash, the likes of Zach Baker, Dane Liccardo, Brody Steen. Steen's a bit of an odd case there because he was a bit further down to start with. But for Baker and Liccardo, they've dropped like a stone through the shootout. They've gone 1 place further back and 3 further back. Of course, the big story in the shootout was the story of Kurt Stenberg picking up a track cut in Sector 2, dropping him from provisionally 3rd down into 7th place. Another little thing that I wanted to point out, this ideal line down the bottom here. So the ideal is the ideal lap. So that is the best Sector 1, the best Sector 2, and the best Sector 3 across the lap. So for the ideal lap, it was actually quicker than Luke Rosella's pole lap, 2:03.29, and that was actually Luke Rosella setting all 3 fastest laps for the session on 3 different laps. So had he stitched that lap together, it would have been a 2:03.2 that he would have put in qualifying, not a 2:03.5 that he ended up doing. In the shootout, again, the first and third sector were the best sector by Luke Rosella. But that middle sector, where he made the mistake, the best sector was actually Steve Warwick at a 32.4. I didn't quite write that one down, so I'll have to check that one again. Either way, what that means is that the ideal lap for the shootout, compared to what it was in qualifying, was 8 tenths away from where it was in qualifying. Now, 8/10, it didn't matter much to Luke Rosella in the end because he still had a gap of 3/10 at the end of the session. But if you were a Colin Warwick or a Sean Allen and you've lost 8/10 going from your qualifying lap to your shootout lap, that would see you drop down towards 7th or 8th in the order. So it's a very particular thing getting that shootout lap put together. Rosella got lucky there to hold on to pole, but really good work from the likes of Allen, Burke and Ross to jump up those positions. Back to you guys in the box.
Well, that was really interesting, Madbird. Yeah. We always talk about how different it can be when the driver is under the pressure of the shootout compared to when they've got 60 minutes to set a shootout time, and that illustrates that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've always found that to be, well, I've never had a way to illustrate it before, but that seems perfect. You're trying to hold a tiny bit in reserve when you're in a shootout lap, because if you put it in the wall, then that's it. And my goodness, can I just say, isn't it incredible how interesting Michael Zalavari can make pretend cars sound? Like that
we're all here to make pretend cars sound interesting.
I know, but like he's like, oh, I need 5 minutes, and he runs off and presents and does up this whole presentation. It's we're falling over ourselves with talent.
Well, the talent will be back tomorrow, Madbird, and we absolutely can't wait. Let's give you the rundown for tomorrow. The live stream beginning at 10:45 Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And, well, don't miss that because we've got a bumper pre-show for you. The warm-up session, on-track action, will start from 11 a.m. ahead of a race start at 11:40. So we're very much looking forward to that one.
We are indeed. Luke Rosella will be leading us off with Thomas McMillan in pole position, followed by Colin Warwick with champion, the big story, down in 10th place, Kurt Stenberg.
And he sounded very downtrodden,
didn't he? Yeah. We've heard him like that before, though, and then he's come good. So, I don't know. It's very hard to feel positive after a qualifying like that, I suppose, but we'll have to see what happens tomorrow.
Well, I think we will leave it there for now, and we will see you tomorrow, Madbird, for the Bathurst 1000. Don't miss it.
See you then.